This little book here should go quite easy. In this discourse, it says the great divine director is the first, and then Saint Germain. Next one will be Saint Germain, then Godfrey Ray King, then Jesus, the goddess Mercy, Kuan, the goddess of loving charity, the goddess of grace. Hilarion is number 9, Sanat Kumara is 10, Saint Germain again in 11. Godfrey Ray King in 12, 13 is Serapis Bey, and then 14 is the Great Divine Director. This book is by Peter Mount Shasta. So I'll read this and hopefully it'll give you more things to think about and stuff like that. So the discourse, the Great Divine Director. In the center of your being is a great light, and you are that light. This is the truth of your being. You shall know this truth, and this truth shall make you free. This is the truth Jesus spoke, and the truth for all men, that all men can know. And how can you know this truth? By direct experience. The light and the lighteth every man that come into the world is a reality. As a reality, it can be experienced. And we all give off light. That's why in yoga in the Middle East and that they say namaste. That's why the Orientals, they all bow to one another. And the Orientals, they don't touch and hug. They stay out of each one another's energy. And that light you can see colors, you can see all kinds of things about everybody. The more brighter you are, people can see and feel your light from a long distance, even before you show up. As the wind cannot be seen, only its effects seen, only its pressure felt. So can the effect of the light within you be seen, its pressure felt, and that pressure is a power far beyond the human mind to comprehend. If you would see that light, then you must go to that light, and that light is within you, within, around, and above, and all things are composed of that light, and that light is within all things. There is no thing, no person that is not of the light. But before the light can be seen, it is felt, and to feel you must first develop the ability to feel, and people don't want to. Everybody shuts off their feelings. Everybody shuts off all kinds of stuff. Hey, Sue Gehrig. Hey, Joanne 30670. But feeling is really important. People don't want to feel. People are always using mirrors, using crystals, using all kinds of stuff, sealing up their heart, doing all kinds of stuff. And they interfere with everything. The whole idea is to feel. You have to feel everything. If you're really going to heal and help people, there's times you have to feel where they're at. Like sometimes I'm in a person's energy. If they got arthritis, I feel it all. And you feel all kinds of things. You don't try to be an empath. People try to be an empath and they stay there and it sucks them dry. That's not the way to do it. When I go into somebody's energy, I allow their angels to help me to know what's going on. So if they got a really bad shoulder, I'm going to feel that. But I'm not in their energy. I'm not sucking their energy into me and trying to give my energy to them. People get into healing and energy and they try to give all their energy away. And then everybody gets in and sucks them dry. And you're not supposed to be giving your energy away. The energy comes from God, comes from the earth, comes from their angels, from their ancestors, from all kinds of other beings. And in this book, it explains all kinds of spirits and how they work with your body and everything. And people, they go around trying to give out their energy because they want to make everybody like them. It's not about that. The only one that really should like you is you. And you have to understand with your mind, everybody has their own energy. Everybody has everything from the day they're born until they die. They just got to use it right. So when you feel, you just tune in and you're like, this is not mine. And you can't pretend to be this empath doing all of this because it's just going to harm you and make you sick. And this is where you learn how to do things correctly. So you have to feel. And the source of that ability to feel is in the heart. Your heart is the very center of your being. It is the center of your feelings, the center where the pressure of light can first be felt, then seen. It can be seen. People see all kinds of things around me all the time. It takes practice. Do you know anything worth attaining that does not take practice? Preserve, for the light of God stands above all the world. You are that light. The more that you dwell in the truth, and the more certain of it you will become, and the stronger will the truth of it be within you. Whatsoever your attention is upon, that shall you become. Your attention is a great lens by which you focus your energy and control your being. In all is the power of attention, active at all times, whether consciously or unconsciously. What you are, what you experience at any given moment is simply the result of what you have allowed your attention to be focused on. If you allow your attention to be attracted by things of the senses, you will live in the world of senses and captive. While if you direct your attention to the light within, you will find freedom and enter the kingdom of heaven. You have within you every moment and choice. In the center of your being, you have a divine director, the consciousness of the real you that will guide and direct you in your choices at every moment if you will turn your attention to it. And it is a great blazing sun within you. I thank you. In thy hands, O Father, I command myself, mind, heart, life, world, for I know that I am your child. For you I came. All that I have, all that I am, is yours, and unto you I know and forever return. Thy will be done through me as it is in you. I am one in God forever. That's a real cool prayer. Simple, easy prayer. But this is where you become wherever you put your thoughts. And you want to surround yourself with bleeding, miserable, suffering people. And you want to go up in light and be the savior. Well, you're trying to bring up your light and they're like, we don't want to change. We just want to suck everything out of you. Show us how to do it. And people keep coming to you. They don't want to heal. They just want to keep draining you. And are they willing to do the work? Are they going to learn prayers? Are they going to change their mind and their attitude? I really care for people. And like I say, if I choose to want to, I will help you. If not, I'll just carry on. I got lots to do. I'm always busy. So, second discourse, Saint Germain. What does man want? What are the people of the world clamoring for above all else? It is freedom. Above even the desire to be loved, man wants freedom. For only when you are free can you truly love. Of course, I do not mean to say that you can have freedom without love, for that is not possible. Only that you must be free in order to love. It is that freedom that is God's greatest gift to his beloved children, sparked from the very flame of his own heart. And it is about his freedom that I would like to talk to you now, dear ones. In the first place, let's have a little history, just a little, for I know many of you are not fond. Sorry. Okay, I'm going to go back. In the first place, let us have a little history, just a little, for I know many of you are not fond of long history lessons. Let us just go back for a moment, if you will, by a stretch of your imagination, which faculty, by the way, is one of the highest in man. So imagination is very powerful. Kids know how to use it. For it is through the imagination, the power of visualization and qualification, that you have the power to create. the same power by which God, infinite mind, creates all things. And now that we are back through imagination to the beginning of man on this planet, let us behold him in all his pristine glory and light. Behold a free being. He is free, pure, uncontaminated, a being of free will, in short, a God. Oh, if you would only remember the glory all had in God before the world was, but take courage. I say that all of you will one day again regain your supernal glory and rise among your brothers and ascended hosts of light as masters of destinies, no longer subject to cause and effect, as being of cause alone. And this shall come to be, for it is a divine command. And then it says, man shall be free. But how, dear ones, does one attain freedom? It is not easy as some would have yet it is not so difficult either. Really, like so many other things, it is a question of sincerity. For one who is sincere, all things are possible. Sincerity is the key to all endeavor. To one who is sincere, all doors are open, no matter what the seeming disadvantage of one's present condition, no matter how late one has started on the path to attainment. You may begin on the path anywhere depending on your sincerity. And by the path, I mean the clear step by step to conscious mastery of all things. But the place in which you start is always within yourself, and the only factor regulating the rate of your advancement is your own sincerity. You can't lie to yourself. Some may begin late in life and advance rapidly, while others who seem to have started early with every advantage, unaccountably, may appear slow or even seem to regress. Though you should know that no conscious effort is ever lost, no matter how dark things may seem to become. If you fall at one point, then you have just that much more determination to succeed and to overcome whatever the obstacle was that you allowed to divert you from the path in the first place. And obstacles there will arise, for do you not see that the obstacles themselves are the part of the path? That's why people show up and challenge you. Don't run away, just keep going forwards. If difficult things show up in your life, just keep going, believing. Keep praying, keep trying to move forwards and do right. So, obstacles themselves are a part of the path, a part of the plan. Only free will makes the attainment of wisdom, that conscious understanding and dominion of what is possible through the exercise that free will in the conscious overcoming of the resistance of the material world. Have no regret about man's past history and his descent from those glorious realms he inhabited prior to the creation of the world. For although man was free and dwelt in the light of his God self, he had no experience or knowledge of his freedom, no creative wisdom, which can only come about through experience. So that was not the freedom of the magnitude it is consequently possible for the youth to attain, was it, dear hearts? Man came to the material school, for as a school of lessons should all earthly travail seem to encounter the principles of a resistance, the force of opposition, which some of you think you would like a little less of. Well, I say to you, it is only in experiencing and understanding and overcoming of this very force of which the material world is composed that makes the attainment of your true freedom possible. How exquisitely beautiful is the plan, the eternal glory that awaits you. A great privilege is yours on the earth today, my children. How I wish I could show you. You will come and see that this dear school, earth, is not such a mess as some would like to think. And I say, like to think. There is always a force working in some, It is really not them, but a force they allowed to work through them, as all forces should be seen. They delight in seeing things in the most negative ways possible, and this is where there's all kinds of dark things that are constantly doing stuff. But you got to believe in the light. Eventually, these things will end and change. So that delights, so these negative things, they delight in seeing things in the most negative ways. So let's attract the bad things. They'll do everything to frustrate you, ruin your day, cause you to fight, get angry, frustrated. And they like manipulating your family, your friends, whoever is around you that tries to piss you off all the time. There's something very negative that controls them, but they choose it. And they're learning lessons, so are you. And that's where you learn not to give power to it. You believe in the light, it will change. So these things delight in seeing things in the most negative way possible, as they feel it easier to criticize and condemn others than take a step in the light and do something constructive and alleviate those conditions. Though they would find, if they could see what their condemnation and criticism does to their own growth, that is much easier in the long run to be constructive and spend the extra energy than to dawdle by the roadside criticizing others and have to spend a great deal of energy later to get themselves out of the fix into which their opening of themselves to negative forces has placed them. Have you ever noticed how visitors to the kindergarten will criticize and say, "What unruly children these are," until you ask them, "What were you like when you were in that grade? And you, can you do any better?" I remember when I was young, like I say, it took lots to learn, right? My goodness, no, Earth is not in such a bad state. I don't want to hear any of you saying anything to the contrary. And believe me, I have better hearing than you can imagine. And than some of you might like to think, and I know what I am saying. Don't you forget that. There's no nonsense whatever about this path. And this is where you gotta really, really become conscious of everything you think and do. Oh, Patnya, don't you forget that. There is no nonsense whatever about this path. That does not mean you are not to have a good time, dear ones. Just the opposite. In fact, I hope that you will come to enjoy and appreciate life more abundantly. But I will not have my students and all of you, even those aware of the guidance they may be receiving from others of us, are my students, saying things to the contrary of what I have said. For one of the first things that you must learn on this path is obedience. Yes, with a capital O. For although you are always free to go your own way, you will soon learn that it is in no obedience that you are truly free, where true freedom lies. For we have tread the exact steps of this perfect path to mastery before you. That's why you need them to teach you, and you have to learn to listen. I met lots of natives along my path over 34 years. I've tried to teach and help them, and they all said that I was bad medicine and everything. They wanted help, and that I would pray lots of good things would come into their lives. They'd be really happy and everything. Then they would turn around and curse me and call me names and say all kinds of stupid things about me. Hey, Jesse. And this is where, like I say, we all got to own up to our own things. I mean, go back 20 years. I met people 20 years ago, you know, and look at everything. Like I say, I tried to help a lot of people. I just closed doors to a lot of things. And I just go in a different direction and ask the universe, where do I need to be? What do I need to do? And wherever I go, I have lots of challenges and I have to be obedient. So obedience, yes, it is a capital O, for although you are always free to go your own way, you will soon learn that it is in obedience that your true freedom lies. For we have tread the exact steps of this perfect path of mastery before you. We see what you need, what is best for you at each moment, as we protect, as we protect and watch over you. That's why I say there are many things watching over you. Stop worrying about everything. Though often that which you need may not at the moment seem very pleasant to you, still it is what you need, and we in the ascendant state can see that. And this is where sometimes I get put in really, really bad places. Like when I lived on Skid Row, I never focused on it. I just did everything I was supposed to. I knew it would end. Then I would move on. And these ascended masters, teachers, everything are around us. And you have to learn how to listen. Later you will see why. You will look back on some trying experiences you may have had to go through, and you will say, I am glad that I was obedient. I am glad that I faced that and went through with it. I have learned something that it has made me a stronger person. You see, it is really common sense. While we are still on the topic of obedience, let me say that never will you be asked, as a student of freedom, to give obedience to any dogma. And that's where people get into dogma. I try to teach everything, all paths, all knowledge, all wisdom. I don't try to get you stuck in one thing. In cults or teachers that in any way contradict these teachings or deprive you in any way of your own freedom of self-determination at all times. You are my children, and as I am freedom, you shall be free. This is my eternal decree. However, as you have chosen this path of ascended master, and as ascended master is one with your own God presence, you have to have that energy come in you, like Jesus and all the Buddha and everybody. However, as you have chosen this path of the ascended master, and as the ascended master is one with its own God presence, to be obedient to us is quite a different story, is it not? So when I say that the earth is in better condition than you would think from reading the papers, I do not want to hear you going from place to place like the prophet of doom the world is already so burdened with, saying this or that is going to happen, for it isn't. You do not have the perspective that I have, and when you do have my perspective, then you will see that that many a cloud has a silver lining. The catastrophes which seem to some to always be hovering on the horizon do not mark the end, rather a beginning. And what a beginning it shall be when the silver lining of all these clouds is revealed and the glorious new age is fully born. No matter how great the pain of the childbirth, is is there any mother who is not grateful, not glad to be a mother? And those who are helping me bring forth this new age are also mothers. And I say, be grateful despite the suffering. And like I said, I've suffered lots. People have laughed at me and everything. And I just carry right on. Be grateful for what you have already attained, as well as for those which you are yet striving. There's nothing wrong with striving, for I do not want you to mislead by those who claim to be the goal, liberation from suffering, is attained by not striving, the absence of all desire. This unfortunate misunderstanding, whether it has come about through being misled by one to whom one gives obedience, or whether through one's own inherent laziness or inertia, leads not to any liberation, but to one being more bound to the earthly conditions, the bounds which mental delusion may sometimes last through many lifetimes. A sad state of affairs, as though there could very actually be a final state of attainment. How could there be? There is never an end to growth, dear ones. Whatever one attains on this path, or any path for that matter, is attained only by one's desire to attain. Desire is the source of creation, and pure desire, the sincere longing for union with the service of your own God self, will ever take you to the true liberation that is eternal freedom. Dear ones, how could it be any other way? Life is growth, evolution, involution, contraction, expansion, ever rising on the great eternal spiral of creation, and the desire not to grow, to be static, and no matter how blissful that static may be, can only be a moment, one moment in the great sea of creation, in which every particle of light is an organic, growing member, and the motivating force of that divine organism is God's desire to express greater and even greater love through every part of his very expanding universe, every part and member of which has a mission to fulfill. So you see how you are only cutting yourself off by seeking some static, unchanging void where nothing grows. For life everywhere is growth, and conscious growth is the consciousness of God. You see what a limited and selfish view of things it is to say, I will go off somewhere by myself and find bliss, and what happens to the rest of the world is not my concern. For if these apostles of bliss were to achieve the balanced consciousness of God to any degree, they would discover that you cannot achieve true freedom except in the world, that all others are part of your own self. There is only one mind, and the surest way to consciousness of that one mind is to serve others. You see, dear ones, there is really nothing for it but to get in there and help others. And the greatest way to help others is to first place yourself in service of your own God self. The I am presence, the presence will always show you what you are to do and will manifest the consciousness through you that is necessary for that attainment. There is nothing that affects others until you are master. Does not also in some way affect you. There is nothing that you do, feel, or allow to affect you in any way that does not go forth and affect others. So it is about time you realize that you are all in this together, and that all you are brothers and sisters and must learn to love and help each other. And I would hope that you take that to your heart. There's nothing that would aid each of you individually quite so much. Remember that one brother said, in that ye do unto the least of my little ones, ye do also unto me. So whoever you're harming, the higher beings know all of this. It's not hidden. And remember also, my children, that I, Saint Germain, though I am not of the world, am many times in the work do I for you, very much in the world. You may have already, or perhaps will again, meet me without being aware, for I will not introduce myself, of that you may be sure. Let service without concern for self, but for thy God self alone, be your eternal guide. If you would be a master, I say act like a master. As you serve, I am with you always. Turn to me in the silence within. I am ready to take your hand. Will you take mine? I love, or in love, I am yours. Thank you. And this is where they will help you in so many ways, and it's yours. And your I am over soul knows this. And there's lots of things to do to change, clear, heal, move on. And like I say, I offer help to people, and people will take it or not. That's their choice. I'm giving you all this information to use in the right way, or to use it and cause yourself more karma. Whatever you want to do, it's your choice. I'm going to keep going higher, and at one point, when my light gets to a certain point, anything that's negative and low and not of truth won't be in my life. I don't have to worry about it. And that's the way the universe works. And these seven flames, work with them. Don't try to bullshit yourself. Look into your own garbage can and everything else. Discourse 3, Saint Germain. My dear children, I hope you do not mind my calling you that, for you are my children, and you will one day know why. I would like, and indeed it is my imperative, that I talk to you about what you will hear me remind you of many times, that it is a necessity of controlling your thoughts and feelings. That's why we can't be emotional garbage dumps. Because when you're emotional garbage dump, it's really, really hard to control your thoughts and feelings. For what masters mean more than any other single thing is one that has complete dominion over those dual activities of this flame. When your thoughts and feelings are disciplined, you have the reins of your control firmly in your hands, and when undisciplined, imbalance, frustration, confusion, and and every despair man's earthly life is in here too. Oh, that I could impress this into your mind so surely that you would never from this moment allow stray thoughts and feelings carry you into the condition you later find you regret. How I would like to protect you from all negative conditions and keep you out of all those fixes that you get yourself into, and that you then have to call on us to get you out of, all because of a whim, a stray thought, which you gave your attention to, and which strayed to linger in your world, drawing on the energies until it became too powerful to resist and gave in, which, if you had been more alert, could have been consumed and dismissed from your world before it had gained any energy. And that's where you manifest all kinds of things, and sometimes you regret manifesting that. Like I say, people want things all the time. They never ever stop wanting. You see, I know how it works. I know all about you blessed ones. Those of you who are so eager to open your inner vision would literally shriek at the sight of some of the thought forms. For all thoughts are forms that have been qualified in a certain way according to the feeling of the Creator, that are floating about in the atmosphere and attaching themselves to people who, by their attention they give to these ideas, have become magnets for them. And I try to teach Cindy this. There are things that come around that try to get us to create and manifest all kinds of stuff, and people project things out at spiritual people, trying to get them to manifest and create things so they can say, you see that person, this and that. And they try to do this over and over, and they bombard people who are trying to do spiritual things. They try to bring your energy down. They try to get you to create all kinds of different things. And you're trying really hard to stay on this path. And it's really, really hard because there's so much going on day and night. And many people want to see people like me and Cindy create destructive, negative things. And then they could say, see, they're bad. Oh, they did this. Oh, they did that. But they projected it until it created and manifest. And they don't want to own what they did wrong. You see, I know how it works. I know all about you blessed ones. Those of you who are so eager to open your inner vision would literally shriek at the sight of some of the thought forms, for all thoughts are forms that have been qualified in certain ways according to the feelings of creation, that are floating about in the atmosphere and attaching themselves to people who, by the attention they give to these ideas. So some idea pops in your head, a thought form comes, somebody out there, and all of a sudden it comes in and you're going down this and you're like, whoa, how did I get here? People do that all the time. So they have become magnets for them. So you're constantly magnetized. This is where people get into orgies and they get into all kinds of things, and they're constantly being drawn into these thought forms. People get into smoking marijuana and these thought forms come and trigger them. People are into cocaine, these thought forms come and they're just constantly craving, and they manifest this constantly. They go to yoga, they go to all kinds of temples and places, and they generate energy, and then these thought forms come, and what do they create? They just stay in their base chakra down here. They never go up here. And they constantly, like magnets, and they're just pulled in all these directions. They have no control over their life. And people will project it at them. People project all kinds of things. And sometimes these things come in, you're like, whoa. I mean, even your own mothers, dads, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles do this, constantly firing bad thought forms at you. And the more higher you're going in this light and using these things, the more they're trying to get you to create or manifest something so they could point at you and make you look really dark and negative. And like I say, you grow up in certain cultures and you start going higher and you break out of those old dogmas and you start becoming this light and you don't pray to these gods and you don't do all this rituals and this shit that everybody else is doing. They're all going to attack you and they will send bad things at you until you do something, you make a mistake, and you'll create something that they wanted. And then all of a sudden, you're this really, really evil person, and they will gang up on you. They will do all kinds of things that are harmful. And that's where you're a magnet to thought forms. So if you could see all these thought forms floating around people in the atmosphere and attaching themselves to people who, by their attention, give into these ideas and have become magnets for them, you would certainly run the other way if you could see them. And you wonder sometimes that you do not feel so well, or that you have an ache here and there, or perhaps a headache for no apparent reason. This is where I'll tell Cindy, this is not mine. Why is this? Like, what's going on? And right away I catch it and I'm like, no. And I will ask the spirit universe to come in and clean it up. And people always project they want to give me their sickness and everything. I don't want their sickness. I didn't create it. They can fix it themselves. They can get their own energy. I don't give mine away. And you wonder sometimes that you do not feel so well, or that you have an ache here and there, and perhaps a headache for no apparent reason. So you must dismiss these thoughts before they get whole. Dismiss every negative thought and feeling, and you do not, I believe, need me to tell you what negative is. Dismiss any less than perfect thought or feeling that you notice beginning to drive you in on you, and say, this is a saying, you have no power. By the pristine pure power of light that I am invincibly protected against all human creation. And the dark forces are projecting every dark destructive thing to destroy your body, your energy, anything. If you are here to be in the fifth dimension, this goes on all the time. Day and night I battle with this. I've been doing it since I was a little boy. And Cindy is very protected because she's in this. And there's a lot of hateful people out there that want to destroy her so they could sit beside me and believe they're powerful. Lots of native women think if they sit next to me, they're going to be so powerful, everybody got to run and be afraid of them. That's not a truth. And I won't allow any kind of person like that in my life. And like I say, there's things that went on, and the thought forms came in, and eventually things manifested. Like I say, I will be seen or believed as a very negative, dark person, but it was intentionally done. And I didn't understand. And then afterwards, I'm like, whoa. And then I try to figure it out, and I ask the universe for help. One day we'll have the truth to it all. Never feel sorry about nothing. I'm in everything I'm supposed to be in. All of you are in things. All of you have people projecting things at you. All of you people are trying to ruin your lives. They never want to see you happy, rich, successful. I mean, everything around you. There's all kinds of stuff. And there's so many kinds of thought forms. And you have to realize, and you got to start changing this by using this knowledge correctly. And this is all that those unpleasant things are that seem to close in on you from nowhere. Humanly created forms given independent life by the sustaining power of feelings charged into them by their creator. You must guard your world against these stray dark ones, and stray they are, with more power to harm you than a stray dog. For while a stray dog may only harm your physical dwelling, stray thoughts and feelings harm the sensitive, magnetic, electric body of yours. And this is where people get ill, which is your spiritual dwelling, and which you have been striving for so long to endure so much to purify. It is a crime, dear ones, to allow any strays into your world, no matter whom or what their source may be. And many times it will be dear friends or members or your own family. But as you are responsible, you alone, for what you allow into your world, dismiss the forces acting immediately. And with this respect, I suggest that you show no mercy. And this is where I will not allow negative people in my life in the future. I don't care who they are. If you're coming to me and you think you're going to do that, I'll just close the door and ask you never come near. When I have property and I do things, I will choose who comes and goes. I will not accept any kind of foolishness. In dealing with these people through whom the force is working, however, you must always remain kind, and I do that. I be really kind to really nasty people, and they laugh at me, and they do all kinds of things. I'm like, I don't care, I'm just going to carry on. And their energy will go back to them. They will regret all the things they've done wrong. That's why I am trying to figure out what I'm going to let into my life or not, because there's all kinds of crap everywhere. In dealing with these people through whom the force is working, however, you must always remain kind and, of course, neutral. And that's what I always have to do. Never do you have the right to discipline another who has free will and that is responsible for himself. Your inner work concerns you alone. Of course, you must not be the one to inflict anything on anyone else because of your lack of discipline in this area. So, dear ones, there is nothing for you but to be a master of your own world. Each is a gardener, each responsible for what is growing in the fertile soul of his own world. If you feel upset or ill, it is because you have allowed something to grow there. Or indeed, it is something that you have caused to grow there yourself. Then you must say to your God self, Dear God, please show me what is causing this condition and root it out of my world. Take my attention off it forever. I know that it has no power other than what I have given it and allowed it to take. And now, by the power of God that I am, I dissolve and consume it forever. I call on the fire of forgiveness. See to it, please, that this never happens again. Thank you. And that's what I'm going to do with lots and lots of things. And people won't be coming around me. They'll never think of me again. Then see to it that you do not let it happen again. You and you alone can master your attention. We cannot do it for you, as we would like to spare you the hardships. For how would you learn? How would you become wise? How would you become a master without that experience? We do not mean to frighten you, for know that there is nothing of which you need to be afraid. However, we do warn, guide, and direct you, for we have already been through this human vale of tears, raised ourselves above it, and become forever masters over it. So we can now share the knowledge gained from our experiences with you, that you may learn by it, know the truth, and be free. And the safest way to the freedom is to control your thoughts and feelings. Why? Because thoughts and feelings are dual activity of your own God flame, which is within you and is the only source and sustaining power of being and world. These two activities of the flame are the sole determinant intelligence of what will be in your world. As the two activities of fire are light and heat, so are the two activities of fire within you, thought and feeling. And you are the keeper of the fire, God's sacred flame, and mastery of the fire is your power to create, your power to rise above the world of cause and effect. For not only were you created in the image of God, you are the image of God. All that God has, you have too, in seed form. For are you not the child of God? Nourish, meditate on that seed, and it will fill you with the light. Tend and protect it through the right living in accord with the law of its nature, and it will grow, and you will be raised in consciousness into the consciousness of one that is the I am. And as a gardener, towards the end, you must work, and towards the end, all shall discipline is worth the effort. All self discipline is worth the effort. So please, dear ones, for your own sake and for the sake of others, make an effort to be a master of your attention. Control your thoughts and feelings on all times, for only in the mastery of your eternal freedom I thank you. Godfrey Ray King said, Dear hearts, let me talk to you today about something that many of you I know have wondered about and have heard of me and the work I was privileged to carry out in my last earthly embodiment under Saint Germain. Before I raise my outer garment into the eternal body of light in the ascended master octave, from where I speak to you now, I did not actually raise my flesh form, but with divine assistance, which the new dispensation of light we are now entering permits, we are able to raise our vehicles that exit independently from the earth form into the eternal perfection. And that's where we're trying to move through now. And it is a privilege that many of you will have, and indeed the privilege of raising the flesh form as well. For we, and I say we, for are not all that love this planet one great family. We are now entering a cycle in which the great cosmic light shall expand so to such a degree that the great light shall make it easier for those that love the light, and that light will become so intense as to seem to actually intrude in all life and all human relationships. Soon you will be finding those old human relationships becoming divine relationships, those old human cares and worries lifted from your shoulders, and the very air you breathe, the food you consume, and the very substance of your form charged with that light. How glorious that will be! Can you see it now, dear hearts? Can you not really feel the love, the harmony, the peace, the wisdom that will prevail, that shall govern over the earth in supreme dominion forever long, or ere long? And in that new era fast approaching, you will not wish to leave the earth. It is that surprise that those of you who are clamoring so for your immediate ascension, well, it should not be a surprise to you who are really applying the law, living the law, and moving into the conscious, active, harmonious domain of your great God flame, the I am. For as you make your sincere applications, you begin to feel the great uplifting force and the raising activities of the great God flame. You will very soon feel that light intensifying in every part of your being and worlds. Now, although this light would seem to intrude itself upon you, know that it will not enter your life or your world unless you let it. And this is where you have to invite this. And unless you request it to do so, for you have free will, and your great God self would certainly not take back from you or interfere in any way with that which was its own precious gift to you, your own freedom to choose what you will be. For know this, dear ones, once and for all times, that God will not force himself upon you. Only your sincere desire and call will draw that presence to you. And as I say, if any are skeptic, why do not you try it? Just try it, dear hearts. If you see that I know that of which I am talking, it is funny. Have you ever wondered how the blessed child knows so many things without anyone having told them? It is strange, then, that you should be able to do the same thing as a child. You all were, if I am not mistaken, children once, or perhaps some feel that they have advanced so far now that they need not admit it. Well, anyways, I have always marveled at how a child that really wants to know something will sit down, have a conversation with himself until he understands what it is that he wants to know. And just who do you suppose that self is that child gets his answer from without having an inkling of who it is? Why, of course, it is his own God self. It is so simple. You too must attain this simplicity if you would be masters. And did not one great master say, "Ye must become as little children if you would enter into the kingdom of heaven"? And this is what it says in the Bible. You got to become an innocent child again. Notice how that child, if he does not get the answer to that satisfaction, has no computation about going to another child or adult and saying, "Will you help me?" And so you should ever feel towards us, who are your elder brothers and sisters, that you can also ask us for assistance. First call to your God self. Then, if that for which you have called in all sincerity is not forthcoming, do not hesitate to call on us. For the ones that are sincere, we are always present. I may tell you that I am present now to you that desire to know more of this great law, the I am, which is the only law which ever was, is, or shall be. However, I would ask, dear hearts, that before you start calling me, you spend some time understanding the meaning of my name. Then you will know who I am and what the nature of the activity is that is my privilege to present to the earth. You see, I am is the free ray of light from God. The I am the full ascended consciousness of that ray, full dominion, for the light of God is king. So you see, when you call on me, you are really calling on your own divinity. And when you call on your own God presence, you are calling on me. For in the consciousness of the individual ray that each one is, we are one, the ray of God, one mind, ray from one central sun. And so in helping you to realize the inherent divinity, I may be of special assistance to each and every one of you. It is my great privilege to be so. Though I would ask that when you call on me and others of the ascended hosts, you first affirm that individual God ray that you are, I am, then second the presence of the particular master who assists you and helps you with your desire. And the way I request you do that is through the affirmation, I am. Say, I am the presence of Godfrey Ray King. You see, in this way, through affirming your own self first, you are affirming your own individual godhood, which makes possible whatever divine qualities you have called to manifest itself in and through you. In this way, you expand your own God flame rather than leaning on an outside presence, which would only keep you dependent and will weaken you, which we will not allow to happen. And that's where you need these guides and teachers. Hey, Mikhail. Remember, dear hearts, we are your brothers, sisters too, for of course there are many feminine masters, and your acceptance of us opens our avenues of assistance to you. However, we will not do your work for you. Let me make that very plain. And I say you got to do the work. And there is no way we could do your work for you any more than when you are hungry, we could say, "We shall eat a meal for you." It just wouldn't do, would it? You would still be hungry, and so neither can the suffering of one brother or suffering on the cross alleviate your suffering now, except that you apply this teaching and learn by his example. Accept his love and become one with that same Father, the I am presence. And that's what, when Jesus was talking, he connected with that divine higher light. As did our beloved Jesus, who later became known as Christ, who is here with me now. However, I, Godfrey Ray King, am the full acceptance and dominion of that Christ, God presence, that Jesus was and that you too can be. And then a little prayer, I am the God in action. That special consciousness is my gift to you, a crystal chalice. As I am is the consciousness of Christ. I give to you that crystal chalice of the living Christ, that you may drink from it and attain your own eternal victory forever. I thank you. And then this discourse number 5, Jesus says, my children, I wish to add a few words to what our good brother has just said. In my ministry of 2,000 years ago, about which much is still not known, I strove to set an example of how one might, uh, despite the tremendous opposition of the world, still overcome it. Now, if I were a special being born in a supernatural way, would my example be one that all could follow? Why, of course not. I, like you, was born of human parents, grew up through childhood, and came through sincere searching and meditation to know my own divinity, as you too may now know yours, and for which purpose I came into the world to lead back to the light the lost sheep that have gone stray, to, to lead by example. The essence of that example you still have recorded today in the legends of the gospel. And he says, if you understand my life, you will know what to do. I wish for you not to read my story out of worship and adoration, as beautiful as your love is for me, but out of the desire to be what I have given you the example for. To know the truth of the I am presence, which is the Christ within you, and to become that master presence. If you will only go over the gospel story and see the truth of that spirit that is contained with these words I spoke, not the interpretation that fascinates and bigots. The, the subsequent scribes and Pharisees that are still at their work today. So all these people in churches and everything using the Bible wrong, teaching it wrong, trying to make everybody afraid. Like I said, the preacher in the residential school screamed at us over and over and over that we were all heathens and we would burn in hell no matter what we did on this planet because we were natives. God was going to let Satan come and just take us all to hell and burn us. And he did this over and over. Every Sunday he would just scream at us. And he would yell and he'd just pound. And you're just this little child and you're afraid. And you want your mom and dad and your relatives or people to protect you from this psychopath who's yelling at you. And you got to stand there and you got to pretend not to be afraid. Then that Sunday night, you'd hear all the kids crying in the junior ward we were in. I don't know, it must have been maybe 300 children from about the age of 5 to about 12. And it'd just be terrified out of our minds that the devil was going to come for us because for whatever reason we were going to burn in hell. And this psycho was paid by the government to do this to all the native children that went there. If you will only go over the gospel story and see the truth of the spirit that is contained with these words I speak, not the interpretations that fanatics and bigots, the subsequent scribes and Pharisees that are still at their work today, have given to my word, and then you will begin to know the truth. Remember, the letter killeth. It is the spirit that giveth life, for God is spirit. You shall worship him in spirit and in truth. And the truth is, my beloved, that although I represent Christ consciousness on the earth today, only you can achieve the Christ consciousness by your own humble efforts. It was in this very same way that I achieved my own victory, and by my example, my sacrifice, and the radiation of my life, you too shall surely achieve your own victory, resurrection, and ascension. I say unto you, verily, I am is the Christ. You shall see you not. Christ is come. I thank you. So I'm going to start with the discourse. It is the goddess of mercy, Kuan. Dear children, I have so much wanted to talk to you for so long. I have so much love for you all that I wish that I could take you in my arms. Oh, to show you the beauty and let you feel the joy, the tranquil peace and that passes all human understanding of ascended state. For we see here one is free of all earthly cares. Growth goes on, however, growth always goes on. Growth is an eternal attribute of all life. When something ceases to grow, it is no longer a phase, no longer a harmony with life, and so life begins to leave it behind. The light becomes dimmer and dimmer until that thing or condition that no longer grows, no longer has sufficient light to sustain it, and it ceases to exist. Though that need not be, ah, how many tears man would be saved if he would realize that. For you see, even though we would give you a chance after chance to learn, to benefit from your experience, if you refuse to see that in all your experiences is a lesson. So if you can really, really figure it out and see what your lessons are, you're going to start changing and shifting things really, really fast. But you got to look at them as lessons. You got to look at the way your mind worked as a child and the way you went through life, because you created your all kinds of your own laws and everything. Okay, the divine plan for the growth and well-being. Well, then there is nothing that we can do for you are masters of your own fate, and we cannot interfere with the choices that you make, because everything is lessons. If you really can figure it out, man, you're going to change the game so fast. We can only love you and pour forth the great light of divine understandings to you, that the light and the compassion, understanding, and the wisdom from the realm may illuminate your path and lead you to victory. And that love we have for you, you may also have for your fellows. For no one labors alone. All the labor in growth are ease, as they seek to ease the pain and the sorrow and the trivials of others. Remember, in that ye have done it unto the least of my ones, ye have done it also unto me. And you know, sometimes it is easy to do a small thing that may mean so much to another, even just a pat on the shoulder. Do not feel that by showing mercy you may be interfering with justice, for I assure you, dear children, justice is inexorable. Divine justice can no more be stopped from coming forth than can the sun after rain. Though be careful that in your human understanding of mercy you do not allow yourself to become drawn by sympathy into the workings of that justice. And that's where you don't want to enable people. Which divine law is bringing into effect in life of one you would help? And sometimes we interfere with people having karma on that. And you have to sometimes understand, you got to let people go through things sometimes. For that would not be mercy but foolishness. Nothing would be gained by your own suffering, when really the suffering of the one you would help is almost invariably caused by transgression of or blindness to some point of law. And it's like people with Alzheimer's and dementia and that they use their minds wrong. And when they get old, they get Alzheimer's and dementia. That's part of the karmic law. Don't use your mind wrong. And suffering is the only way that individual God self can make the individual human consciousness come to that realization. And so you see, sometimes it is the greatest mercy to stand aside and with all the love of your heart, bless that one and enfold him in a mantle of compassion. That's where sometimes you'll say prayers and things for them, but you allow them to go down their path and find their answers, heal and change. Remember the difference between sympathy, sympathy, and compassion. Sympathy comes from human weakness and failure to understand the law. Compassion comes from God and is divine, and that compassion in action is mercy. The most merciful thing that you can do is to be always tolerant in your thoughts and feelings towards others and towards every living thing, to think nothing but good. That is what true mercy is. I thank you. So the next discourse, Goddess of Loving Charity. Do you know, dear ones, that charity, true charity, is, my dear sister Kuan Yin has told you that mercy, which is the activity of her nature, is compassion in action. So in a larger sense are her activities and my activity, which is the activity of charity, both the same great activity, which is that of love, the pouring forth of God's love into the world, and that love is the very essence of the Christ, for God is love. The greatest gift that you can give to one another is love. The way to give love is to be loved. And it says in bold letters, I am the loving charity of God pouring forth into the minds and hearts of individuals everywhere. And you can ask charity to come in and help you. And she is a being that will do that. I'll maybe one of these days talk about a little bit around dementia and stuff like that. I'm not going to discuss it today. It's just something I brought up so you can think about it. Because there are people who had a lot of knowledge. Sometimes they were Christians and things, and they used their mind wrong. And they judged people you would call gay, bisexual, what is it, two-spirited or whatever. And they spent their life hating. It's like Aryan race people. They believe anybody of brown skin does not belong on the planet and they got to destroy them. They use their minds wrong. If you know somebody like that was young, go and visit them. They probably are having Alzheimer's and dementia because their mind destroys itself because they won't stop doing that. This will be invaluable assistance. Would you embark upon the labor of love, which is the mission of the Christ? Think on that, my beloved, and as you think, be that Christ, and you will find your whole world changing. What you pour forth, what you radiate into the world, comes back to you and amplified many-fold. So if you give your love to others, surely you will be loved. I do not know any of you that would not care to have more love, for it is not love the most important thing in life. Although perhaps men say that having the feminine attribute of the flame, I am partial in that direction, but I think that you ladies, if you ask the men, will find that they want love. It is not so. For a lot of men, they don't understand how to love. They just want a slave or a servant, or they just want whatever. They just want property or whatever. Some cultures, if a woman marries a man, she's just property. She's not even a person. She doesn't even have a soul. And I'm like, that's wrong. And that's not a truth. And they need to get rid of that kind of beliefs. We need to erase that on this planet. And there's a lot of cultures out there that way. I've never liked that. And all these men that are from those cultures, hey, they came out of a woman. So why do they think women are lower than dogs and all kinds of things? There's something wrong with them. Of course, love must be balanced, and the balance is found only in the Christ, the presence of the God flame within you. And would you find the love which you seek, you must first find and dwell within the flame. To those that feel they have been hurt by love, I say, this love can never hurt. And that's what true love doesn't hurt. When children, they come and hug you and they love you, it doesn't hurt. But people use love to hurt, and that's not real love. They use it as to fight and war and do all kinds of stuff that doesn't need to be done. It is true, love, your seamless garment, your eternal protection that consumes all unlike itself. Love conquers all, for God is love, and before love all imperfection. All disharmony must fade, for the love is the great light that fills all space, all substance, all consciousness with itself, and is itself sufficient unto all things. My beloved, I pray you be more loving with one another, for you do not see that the other is really only another face of your own self. And then in bold letters it says, I am here, I am there, I am the only presence everywhere, the love of God in action. I am yours, call on me. If you are having trouble meditating, I will help you. If you will silently affirm within the stillness of your being, I am loving charity, and you can call on charity when you're meditating to start helping you. I think that you will find my effects very soothing, and should you wish to triple blessings, call faith, that's another angelic being, call hope, that's another angelic being, and call charity together, so you call three of them while you're meditating, and three of them will come in and help you. For the three of us represent three aspects of the one flame, and you will discover for yourself who we are and what we can do. Remember, I am is the faith. Hope and the loving charity of God is in action and sustaining force, which shall carry you to your sure, certain victory. I thank you. The next discourse is the goddess of grace, so this is another being. Although I wish to address the gentlemen as well as the ladies, my heart goes out to particularly to you ladies, who have that certain grace which mankind finds so lacking in life, and to which humanity has looked to you, rare ones, for that balanced touch. Soon mankind will no longer think of grace or any of the previous called feminine attributes as feminine alone, but as divine attributes to be cultivated and practiced in life by all of God's children. What you mean by the labels male and female pertains only to the flesh form, while the higher nature and its masculine and feminine attributes could better be described as predominantly of the mental or predominantly of the feeling nature. And though every flame manifests both the attributes of mind and feeling, usually one predominates, and the nature is called masculine, if chiefly mental, and female. If chiefly feeling, though in the perfect Christ being, both attributes of the flame are in perfect balance, and that's where everybody's coming to. You see, men are bringing out way more feminine, women are bringing way more masculine, but you got to balance, you got to have both. One day you could be really feminine, next day you could be really masculine, and you could go back and forth and be happy, but you don't need to be really, really aggressive one way or another. Flames are in perfect balance, neither one predominant, both working together, and that's where I've come to in my life, this balance of both male female. Both working together as one, they in fact are. It is only in the material world where the duality that we have today is known for the very nature of the matter is dual, so we want to see either masculine or feminine. And we look at everything in that context. We don't allow people just to be too spirited and just be okay with it. People feel very threatened. I mean, it's like you look at a lot of young boys nowadays. You watch them walking around, they got nail polish on and they got makeup on. Some of them are wearing dress and women's lingerie and all kinds of stuff. You see young girls with really, really short hair. They're dressing up like men and wearing men's clothes and underwear and that. And they don't feel wrong about it. And they all accept one another. But the older people have a real issue with that. When I was a little boy and my granddad would stare into the fire and he'd see way into the future and he says, in the future, it's going to be really, really hard to tell the difference between a male and a female. And he says, one day when you're way in the future, you're going to see it's going to be very confusing. And one day I was walking down the street in Edmonton, walking along, minding my own business, and this guy came along, and I was staring at him, walking, and I'm like, something's really weird. And then the person stopped for a while and started doing something. I'm like, oh, that's a man. But man, you would swear it was a woman. And there's another time where I was walking behind a woman and turned around and it was a man, and I'm like, whoa. And that's where I remember when my granddad told me this. But we're always trying to force people into boxes. We don't allow them to be triangles or circles or straight lines. We always got to push them into a box. We always got to break them. We always got to do something to them. We can't just let them be happy. You know, clothing is clothing. Makeup is makeup. Hair, whatever. It doesn't hurt. The person is just a person. And maybe that's what makes them feel good. So how is it harming anybody? Hey, Patnia. So in natives, we try to honor in ceremonies two-spirited. I was at a Sundance, I don't know, about 10 years ago, and a guy came from the United States. And he was in at the ceremony, Sundance ceremony, and he was dressed as a woman, and they all honored him as a woman. And he lived that way, and was everybody just respected him. Nobody tried to tear him down or make him feel bad. And this is where in some cultures this was an okay practice, especially with the natives, and that was threatening to the churches. So they had to destroy the natives because the natives never judged anything. They lived in harmony with everything. My granddad taught me that as a little boy. Flames are in perfect balance, neither one predominant, both working together as one. They, in fact, are. So both of them are, the male, female, when you really, really allow. Like I say, they work. They're not aggressive this way or that way. Hey, Miranda, I'm reading this book today. There's a lot of little discourses from different beings, and right now, as the Goddess of Grace is talking about male and female and duality. It is only in the material world where duality that we have today is known, for the very nature of matter is dual, and the nature of duality is suffering, for where one is split into two, the halves will always be longing for and striving to attain the other part of themselves, striving for completion. And here lies the material for the treatise in the history of the suffering of the world. But I will spare you, for I feel that with suffering you are familiar enough. But do not miss the point. Only in the conscious return to the individual, to his single God flame within him, can regain his lost estate, the happiness, the completion, the oneness that are his birthright and destiny. How long you look for that joy in outer pursuits, outer things, and outer personal love relationships is up to you. For no matter how close and in love with another God children you may be, and no matter how much that one may be in love with you, it is not the true love of the God flame, which is the only doorway to eternal love, perfection, and freedom of your true God self. And until you abandon the pursuit of the outer things and turn to the presence within, then that long will you lack the completion, the balance, the happiness for which you so long. How the human cries out and wants the best for both worlds. Alas, you know that it cannot be. You must have either the spiritual world of the one pure perfect existence, or the material world of duality, alternating between transitory human pleasures and their consequent sorrows, the world of suffering. The self-disciplined mastery is the only escape from that duality into which you have been born, and from which you must eventually rise and go unto the Father. The light seeks its own. When man blocks the light, inner conflict and suffering is a result. When you are suffering, blame no one but yourself. Do not blame each other for your suffering, dear ones, especially your husbands and wives. Do not argue about who is at fault or which of you must do what. That is not the way. Can you not see that? Love is not something that you can bargain. Only the peace and grace of God's love within you can open the door of your human creation into the pure kingdom of the single flame of pure etheric substance, the very nature of which limitless joy. And when you have once tasted that joy, you will be so grateful for my reminding you to preserve, to hold fast to what you know is right. When you do hold fast to what you know is right, each step will be illuminated for you. Not the whole way at once, but each step as you take it, one at a time. It is up to you to take this step in perfect balance with perfect grace. You see now that all those qualities, grace, kindness, charity, peace, are so needed by all God's children. And you got to ask for it. And they will come in and help you in all kinds of ways. And until you return to that single flame and forever raise your material form and the world out of the world of duality into the ascended state, who among you has the perfect balance to walk the steps to mastery unaided, without our helping hand? Remember, I am the grace of God. If you wish my assistance or that of any other ascended master, you must feel free to call on us, and by the grace that I am, you shall be answered. I thank you. The next one is Hilarion, Discourse 9. I hope this is making sense. I'm trying to read really quick, stop here, throw something in, and then keep reading. Hilarion, one day, one of the students who was still, one day, one of the students who was and still is under my guidance and instruction asked the question of the one whom I had brought him for the instructions at the time. And the question asked that day, in all seriousness, was, what does the body of God look like? Well, I may tell you, I hope, without offending anyone's senses of propriety, that we too have a sense of humor, and that I had a good laugh over this. And both the individuals involved had a laugh too, for you might say my laughter is contagious. The truth of the matter is really so simple. It is staring you right in the face every moment of your existence. It is astounding to us that this elementary truth should still, in this day, when man's scientific advancements has gone so far, remain unknown. Well, of course, we were really delighted by his question. In fact, we wish you would ask questions for us more often, as long as you are sincere. For it is only by asking questions as a child asks the true understanding is open to you. So this is where you have to ask questions of the Creator, of these higher teachers and they will help you understand everything. And we're meant to understand everything. We're meant to be gods. We're meant to be ascended masters. We're meant to live millions of years. But you have to choose it. No matter how humble the question when you ask as a child, we do not hesitate to answer you to see that the answer is forthcoming to you in some way which you can directly perceive. And I may say according to the degree of sincerity The degree of your true desire for knowledge is the degree at which you are answered. And this is where there's many levels. I want to know really deeply when I ask something really sincerely. And when the answer comes through, I'm mind blown, sometimes for days, when I get my answer. And I'll just sit there and I'll just run it over in my mind, just in awe. I'm like, wow, it's so, so big. It's so beautiful. And I might say, according to the degree of sincerity, the degree of your true desire for knowledge is the degree to which you are answered. For every call, every question in the mind of man is a magnet, and that magnet inexorably attracts in the perfect time the answer to it. And even those who do not know this great law, how to make the call directly to their own Godhead, and that's where you call on your higher oversoul, your God self, your I am presence, whatever you want to call it. It will answer you. Who pray in their own way are also answered according to the degree of their sincerity. For every thought at every point in the universe, no matter how remote, is heard. And that's what my granddad would say. There is no such thing as a stupid question. And I've never stopped believing that. There's an answer to everything. No matter how remote, is heard and responded to, though, of course, not as directly as the individual had made the call directly to his own God self. So you see how important it is to know what you want, and how important to say only what you mean. That's where native spirituality, we say, be really careful, be very clear about what you're asking. And not to say or even think anything, whether about yourself or another, that you do mean or wish to happen. For thoughts are things, they go forth into the universe to act according to the thought and feeling of the one, whether consciously or unconsciously, that is sending them out. You see, the universe is a great switchboard, and each of you is the operator. Those who pray are requesting that another operator, some unknown God, put the call through for them, while the one who knows and is in contact with his own God flame, which is the central switchboard, can put the call through himself, and he becomes one of the helpers that can, if he be sincere in his desire to serve, answer and put through the call of others. And that's what I try to do. Whatever answers are yours, they're yours. I don't want them. They don't belong to me. And like I say, I don't try to have a big shopping list to sell you everything. If I'm meant to channel things to you, I'm going to channel it to you. And sometimes you may not like that. But that's where I choose to serve. You see, the universe is a great hierarchy. Just as on the earth, you have countries, states, counties, districts, and neighborhoods, all administered and represented by their corresponding governments, assemblies, commissions, councils, associations, and so too on all levels of God's creation are there similar governing bodies for the control and distribution of infinite supply. And we all have infinite supply. And until you really, really understand, then you'll tap in, and these beings will help you more and more and more and more. The limitless light which is everywhere and which is made manifest as needed and called forth at the corresponding frequency and intensity to the place in creation at which the individual finds himself in his current state of evolution. The keynote of all creation is order, and that order is maintained by the divine hierarchy, which we, the ascended or arisen masters, are for the earth, the principal part. Know also that there are cosmic masters, some of whose bodies span solar systems, as well as there are angels, seraphims, tiny elementals that may work within the small atom. Life is everywhere. There is nowhere life is not, and that life is light, intelligence, wisdom, power, and love, which is perfect order. And so, as you come to understand the great law of order, you come to understand how everything is put together and how everything operates. And you come to understand yourself. You come to understand the great self that you are. And you come to understand all things. That's why I say your oversoul is billions of years old. It's been to many planets, galaxies. Knows all kinds of things when you really connect into that and understand. And then in big bold letters it says, man, know thyself. And to know yourself, you have to connect with this 8th, 9th, 10th chakra, your higher oversoul. And you got to go higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. And you will keep moving up, and you will grow older and older and older, more wise in everything in creation. Are you beginning to understand now, my dear ones, that the body of God is? I hope so. Just think about it. Think about the great central flame within the center of your being. Dwell upon it and allow it to expand until you are in the middle of it. And it is all about you and in you. See what a son you have become. When a son you are. What a son you are. And this is the pattern of all creation. Understand the laws governing your own light, and you will understand the laws of governing all light. As you become a son, for each of you is becoming a sun. And that's where your light gets brighter and brighter and brighter, and you want it to shine. You want it because the more brighter it gets, the more, like I say, negative things go, the more you become the master, the more these beings help you. And you have to want to get rid of the old and bring in the new. And you have to work with all this knowledge. You have to work with these flames. You got to work with these ascended masters and beings. And this is the pattern of all creation. Understand laws governing your own light, and you will understand the law governing all light. As you become a son, for each of you is becoming a son, so in like manner did the son of the system become a son, as has every electron. For the consciousness, the law, the intelligent electron substance of the great central sun composes, animates, and causes to continue in its orderly operation the joyful existence, all creation. Of all beings, only in the mind of man is there any consciousness of lack, of any want of order. Is that not amazing that in the life of one of the greatest creations God should allow disorder, lack, suffering, and despair to exist? Oh, dear hearts, when will you see that these things do not exist except in the mind? The five sense material world of which the human mind is composed, for mind in the human sense is matter, material, and of the materialistic consciousness of lack, which thinks me and mine are the and identifies with the attached itself to the conditions of the material world, hence the world of illusion, the world of suffering and pain. For if you knew that you were not the mind but the divine mind, which is the heart of God, that the very light and consciousness of creation was within you, then you would be free of the consciousness of lack. Then you would be free of all illusions, wholly pure and perfect. You would be one with bliss, for the light everywhere is bliss and wisdom. He who understands and becomes this in every part of his being, he is free, a conscious creator, a God being. Know yet not that ye are gods. And this is what we're slowly waking up to. So our autonomy lessons draws to a close, though the lessons to which we are all a part never draws to a close. Think on these things, this little seed that I have given to you today. If you put the seed away for safekeeping for a rainy day, you will lose it. But at best, it will stay only a seed. But if you plant the seed immediately in your words, if you take this great law into the depths of your being, and there meditate on it, nourish it by your light and love, and give it freedom that it needs in order to grow, then you will have something. And what a something! This is the grain of mustard seed, which appeared the littlest of seeds, yet which Jesus likened unto the kingdom of heaven. This is the idea of the heart of man, the image of what he may become, a God, and feeling of the reality of that idea within the heart is the pearl of the great price, the pearl for which a wise man parted with all he possessed in order to obtain. Bless you, my children, I thank you. Sanat Kumara. My dear ones, perhaps if I tell you a little about myself, you will understand better the activities that, for your Earth, I represent. I am one of the directing masters of the planet Venus, a part of that hierarchy which is similar to your own hierarchy of ascended masters, the Great White Brotherhood, with which you are now learning to work and become part of, and which work and cooperation bring love to my heart. For if you knew how long I have waited for this day, you would think me a very patient soul indeed. And I am, for love is patience. So patience was I, so patient was I that from the time of the close of a former age in the earth's great evolution, when things became so dark, it was not thought that the race of man would long endure. And many who wished to go on their own evolution thought it best to leave the earth to its own self-created fate. I came forth and said, no, I think that the people of the earth can be saved. I will go forth to that planet with all the love of the ones who volunteered, and they chose to come with me. I came to the earth and here set up my home for many millions of years. Did I patiently wait before I knew whether or not I would succeed? And now I know that I have, and I thank you. I thank you with all the great love of my heart. And from all of those who come with me, I bring joy and blessings from the people of Venus. For as you may have known, the destiny of the Earth and Venus are so closely interrelated, as are the rose and the vine on which it grows. Venus is your sister planet, a part of the great flame of which the earth is composed, your twin ray. If you would have it so, and many you souls now on earth that have embodiments on our humble planet at one time or another, so some people lived on Venus in the past and had those experiences there. And some people will say that they have memories and things about. People will mock and laugh at them, but they're telling the truth. Uh, the 13th laundry lady. If you see Frank Peepers there, ask him about his sweat. 13th laundry lady is asking about his sweat lodge. Cher Martin. So Frank Peepers is there. They're supposed to be having a sweat lodge. So if you can type in Frank Peepers, if you friended him, ask him because it's out at Alexander by Morinville. It's about an hour, I think, out of Edmonton, north of Edmonton. There's a few other people on here that may know about sweat lodges. So if there's anybody there, let the 13th laundry lady know. Okay, the earth and have embodiments on our humble planet at one time or another, for all growth is an expanding, balancing process. What attribute, what quality of light is lacking in one's own environment? He seeks elsewhere. And this is where, if your chakra is unbalanced, you'll seek it out. You'll find people in that chakra to help you. And that's why we have to interact with all kinds of different people, people of all kinds of different knowledge, because we're trying to find something and bring that into ourselves. But people don't understand this. What attribute and what quality of light is lacking in one's own environment? He seeks elsewhere the process which nothing can stop, least of all what certain unillumined ones call death. All life seeks the internal perfection, and is seeking for perfection is the motivating force behind all desire. when and only when the perfect balance has been attained. True love is selfless. It wants nothing for itself, for it is already full. And out of that fullness, out of its own joy and happiness, it wishes to share, to give itself, to expand and embrace all in the wonders of itself. It is the nature of God to give love. It is only the human, the mind, that wants love for its material. Love is spiritual. The human is transitory. Love is eternal. The human is arrogant. Love is humble. In always looking outside itself for the love, in its self concerning and pride, it misses that very love it so much wants. That love that is waiting so patiently, flickering ever so faintly within the heart of every individual. But you may say, I have already looked there. Then look again and again and again until you find it and it is yours. For it is there and there alone. It is for this that I come from Venus and have waited patiently so many millions of years. Could you not try, dear ones, even for a moment, to find that which I have brought you? First, you must be still, relax as serenely. I enfold you in the same love that I planted within each human heart, a love which paths all human understanding. Do not try to understand. Feel, and everything you have to feel. People shut off feeling. They don't want to feel. Oh, I got hurt when I was a baby at 5 years old, so I don't want to feel anymore. Oh, my boyfriend hurt me, so I don't want to feel anymore. Oh, my brothers and sisters treated me bad, so I don't feel anymore. Well, you have to feel everything. You're good, you're bad, you're happy, you're sad. All of it. Reading the I Am the Open Door, Ascended Masters. And so, feeling is really important. If you feel that love, then you feel me. And you have taken the gift that I have brought you into your heart. I am with you always, for I am that love. And that love is the creator of all things. That is that love that holds the electrons in the orbit around the atom. It is that love that holds a planet in the orbit about the sun. It is that love that should hold the mind of man to its own God flame, the great central sun within you. For even the atoms of the brain itself are obedient and responsible to that love, or responsive to the love. Though the consciousness of the individual man using the atom may wander, as it has, in another direction entirely, and therein has been man's dilemma, as an individual mind begins to wander from its center to create patterns of its own. The very electrons that those thought patterns impress begin to lose their centers. First the etheric, then the dense strata, then the individual world, then the world of those upon whom his attention rests begin to fall apart, until finally the disharmony makes itself felt on the physical stratum as sickness, despair, and disorder of every imaginable kind. When a whole group or society holds similar patterns of thought and feeling, the disharmony energy generated thereby it is very great. Is it little wonder then that those societies find themselves involved in wars, depression, turmoil, experience of every conceivable lack, the origin of which they little understand? When these depressions get too great, the society involved tries to clear themselves of the pressure by having it out, which really means the collective energy of the mass of the electrons that man has effected asserts in nature's desire for perfect alignment, for perfection. The electrons, through the consuming activity of the fire element, which dissolves and consumes that which man has created and impressed upon the mass of electrons. then returns to their original orbit about their center, having turned off their human accumulation and expressed the purity and balance of their original state, the full expression of divine love of their being, the true, original, and final state of all God's creation everywhere. And whatever the weather through pride or ignorance that does not come into full and perfect harmony with the divine love of its nature must eventually dissolve and pass out of existence. Love, the fire of creation, can also be the fire of destruction when man does not create in harmony. When the fire is misused, that is what has happened to man in the past. Through the misuse of the light, he has caused great destruction, which, as it always must, have returned upon ones responsible and destroy not only them, but also the environment and the very continent with their pollution upon which man dwells. You see how dangerous it is to play with these atoms. And I want to say right now, man's attempt to exploit the power of the atom is now the greatest single threat to man's existence, being forced unknowingly upon the innocent people of the earth. This must stop, and we will see to it that it does stop. The alternative is too ghastly for the human mind to comprehend, is too ghastly for the human mind to comprehend. It is the old story of Pandora and the beautiful box. She thought she had found something good, but when she discovered that it was what it was that she had found, it was too late to stop. She had already unleashed the great suffering on man, and she could not put it back in the box, which she had let escape. But do you know that the very last thing left in the box? It was hope. All alone, hope was all that was left. We have hope for mankind that we will learn from it, that he will learn from his past and profit from that wisdom, like Pandora, only achieved at so great a price. Each of you bears a responsibility in that respect. Keep in mind that your every thought and feeling affects the atoms of yours and your neighbor's worlds. And that's why I say you affect everybody around you, every thought, everything you do. And when I pray, people feel all kinds of things go on and it scares them, so they will send energy at me. When I lived in the city, it was really crazy because I prayed all the time. And I would burn smudge and do all kinds of stuff. And we lived really close to the hospital. And like I said, there was a lot of crazy energies, lots of stuff. Each of you bear a responsibility in that respect. Keep in mind that your energy and thought feelings affect the atoms of yours and your neighbor's world. And that for the destiny of those atoms you bear responsibility. What the great directing intelligence of the solar system is to the planet of the system, your own individual God self is to your own body within all the constituent parts. Which parts? As is saying, as above, below is true, corresponding to those planets. So you see, in this way, you affect and are affected by all creation. You have free will and your conscious creator at every moment of your existence, and you never cease to exist in life. Your life is eternal. Now do you begin to see your responsibility to life, dear ones? You cannot think, feel, and act or speak, and speaking is acting without the consequence of your actions returning to you. And return they do, amplified many times. For every wave of energy sent out is a living magnet drawing like wave unto itself, until moving in unison, they grow to tremendous peaks before falling back again to their source. They travel in grooves, as it were, and when they reach their limit, they come back to the sender. And that's where people are negative and they're doing things negative to you. Somewhere it's going to go back to them. And they keep projecting. And then they'll say you did something to them when you didn't. And this is where sorcery and black magic, it's like a boomerang. Whatever it is, it's going to go back where it came from. And it's like with lawyers, it's with like all kinds of things. And a lot of people will generate negativity. Like when I had my accident, I wasn't in the wrong, but my lawyer sold me out and he created karma. And I was supposed to win the case, and I would have had really lots of money. I wanted to build all kinds of things and do stuff. And he threatened me, and he says, if you don't settle this, he says, I'm going to make sure you're broke and you spend the rest of your life paying this man. And the man that hit me with the dump truck owned the company. And this law firm sold me out. And they did this to me. And I've gone through really, really bad things. I fought for 10 years trying to win my case. And even the cops, everybody told me this guy who hit me had done this many, many times. And he ran away and hid in India for years. Then he came back to Canada, thought he got away, but they caught him and brought him to court. And the insurance company came and he wouldn't show up in court. And the lawyer showed me in one, he had a stack this thick from all the laws he had broken. And he got away with it all. And he nearly killed me and he got away and he hurt a lot of people. And I should have won that case, but they robbed me. I ended up with nothing. Same with residential school. I was supposed to get a really, really big payout, and they gave me a lawyer that cheated me. And I leave that. I walked away from it. And they pulled me in. I was stuck for years. My life, everything just went really bad. And I just said, I give it up. I just give it to the universe. I let it go. I don't, whatever it is, I'm done with it. And I just signed all the papers and I walked away. And the universe told me it's not over yet. And I'm like, okay, because they told me this also when I first had the accident. They had me hire a lawyer, and I'm like, this guy, why did you get me to hire him? And they says, because you're going to teach him a lesson. I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, you're going to teach him a lesson. And I don't know how I taught him a lesson, but he was a crooked lawyer. And he was doing really, really lots of things that were not good, and he ended up in jail. And if he had stayed with my case and been honest, he would have made millions of dollars. And he was calling me an idiot and calling me names and cursing me and everything. And I'm like, what did I ever do to you? I didn't do wrong to you. I didn't do wrong to nobody. And I got treated really bad. But I got really stuck in things. And it made me very, very angry. Then it pulled me down. And I finally realized one day, I got to get out of this. It's destroying me. And I just let it all go and moved on. Woe unto him who has sent forth anything less than love, anything less than charitability to his fellow man, and that he would not want to experience. For it is the law of creation that what you have caused another to experience, you will at some time, some place, whether this lifetime or another, experience yourself. That do you not see is the only way it could be. How else would man learn responsibility? If you would view all your experiences today as partially the effects of previous causes, and that's where sometimes there's bad things going on because we did a lot of bad things, especially when we're young. We did lots of stupid things. If you would view all your experience today as partially the effects of previous causes which you yourself have set in motion, coupled, of course, with the free will you have every moment that enables you to choose to discriminate light from darkness, to seek forgiveness and rise above all effects, then you would have a clear view of your existence. Everything that takes place on the earth and the material world first takes place in the realm of thought. Earth is the realm of effect, cause, and cause alone, for the higher realm of thought is the master of all that happens here. Only by mastering your thoughts can you ever ascend into the realm of light and become a being of cause alone. Remember, although all causes have their effects, and although you must experience the effects of all causes you have set in motion, still here is forgiveness, a law unto itself, which makes it possible for you to rise out of the world of what would otherwise be a limitless chain of cause and effect without respite. By the grace of God, man was created in God's image and likeness. And like the God that he is, man has the ability to forgive. And in that forgiveness, which is a great blazing flame that dissolves and consumes all discordantly qualified energies and binding limitations in which the individual has bound himself through many ages, is that flame of divine love that dissolves and consumes all human creation and sets the individual wholly pure and perfect before the door to his eternal freedom. Visualize the fire of forgiveness as a great violet fire blazing up through and around you and throughout your world, starting far down in the earth and leaping in great waves of light about you everywhere and soaring overhead. If at the same time you will couple the visualization and qualify with the expression I am, you will release the flame's full power. And then in bold letters it says, I am the violet consuming flame blazing up in, around, and through me and through my world. And you become that violet flame, and it will change things for you. And your higher self and your oversoul knows how to heal and change anything. You will do yourself and your world or anywhere or any condition in or upon which you feel called to act, no matter where on the earth that person or condition may be, inestimable good. Soon you will be using this flame daily in ways that you have never dreamed. And that's why I'm like, use this every day. Soon you will be using this flame daily in ways that you have never dreamed, and the results will you will obtain are at this time beyond your present power of comprehension. So great and wonderful is the effect of this mighty flame. And though the violet fire may be invisible in your outer sight until you have raised your sight sufficiently, which raises activity of the violet fire performs, you are the fire keeper. Yes, each of you are as a keeper of the flame. But of what good is that if you only keep it and do not use it? So use it, I beg you. Use the violet consuming flame, and you will make it, or sorry, use the violet flame, and you will make not only me, but Saint Germain very happy. For Saint Germain is the Kohan of the violet ray, which is the seventh ray, and you not guess. He is here with me now. The violet consuming flame is his special gift to mankind at this time, which has made possible man's so rapid clearing from certain conditions, so-called so-called karmic accumulations, which had they been allowed to continue would have prevented the great expansion of the light for the birth of the new age, which all, especially I, have so long waited. If you wish to have greater understandings of the flame and its use, and your individual mission is in its use in establishing and sustaining your own individual freedom, so that is a clear, free being, you may assist Saint Germain in his blessed service in bringing in the new age, then speak to him. I am sure he will be only too charmed to reply. He assures me now that this is so. I bid you adieu, but not goodbye. Bless you, and remember, I love and I thank you. So the Discourse Saint Germain. As I have already been introduced, I will say a few words to you about the way each of you may assist me in my work, which is that of bringing in the new golden age. But you must understand that before you can assist me, first you must be absolutely free. For if I give you a certain work to carry out and you become sidetracked along the way by some desire or human trait that had not been purified out of you, then it would be hard to do, wouldn't it? So, dear ones, you see how earnestly I desire your freedom, with which attribute the activity for helping individuals attain their freedom, I am most closely associated, that as one great brotherhood of free beings, we may go forth together to bring light and freedom to the rest of the people of the earth. This is the work in which I am involved. Do you care to help me? I hope more than anything that you do desire to help me, for only in this way, by becoming a part of the Great White Brotherhood, will you ever attain that happiness, the joy of glorious ascended state, which is your destiny, as a state of freedom is only open to those that are pure, for the substance of which is composed is pure and incapable of containing imperfection. Then the only thing for you to do is get busy and purify yourself. And by that, dear ones, I mean now. And how do you purify yourself? It is so simple. By first and foremost, you must desire to be pure. And you got to think and desire and believe that. For as you know, what your attention is upon, you become. And if you constantly think about this, things will change. And if your attention is on purity, you have to battle the already 50% conquered. Now for the remaining 50%, you will have to roll up your sleeves and get to work. Examine yourself as though you were to present yourself to me for military inspection. I assure you, I have very good vision and will, as they say, look behind your ears. Now what I want to see is God knows you better than you know yourself. You can't fool him and get away by putting on a front, which some of you try and do even to the extent that you fool yourself. For really, to look at yourself and say, now, what is it that I really need to work on? What things in my world are holding me back? In what way could I be a stronger, more obedient, more loving, and better person? To do that takes courage, and dear friends, if you are to walk this path to victory, mastery, eternal dominion over all human things, courage is something you all need more of. You need courage and you need faith, but before you can have either of these, you must have hope, for hope is the foundation of all human achievement, and without hope can nothing constructive be achieved. Hope is a pure desire that what you wish for is possible, and that is possible for you. It is the key to all good that has ever come into the world, and that ever will come into your world. Hope is the open doorway into the very heart of God. Hope leads you to faith, and faith is a realization that God has allowed you to desire. To desire is possible. And the inspiration by your example for that hope, faith in others is charity. As a child of the one God I am, you contain with you in all the attributes of the Father. You, as a conscious creator, may command through the understandings and exercise of your inherent divine faculties all that God Himself may command. And it is your privilege to do so. It is my privilege to help you attain that state of oneness with the Father, the I Am presence, that all you hope for becomes an immediate reality through the instantaneous consciousness of the power of the light that I am. It is my hope that you will all go ahead now and begin to attain what I have shown you, and that with my assistance you will soon learn to make the vision of reality. For as you learn obedience to the great I Am presence, which is within and above you, and which you learn to contact within your heart, with which presence I and all the ascended masters are one. As you purify yourself, we shall be able to assist you more and ever work with and instruct you from within. You will find that as you become purer and purer, we are all drawing closer and very closer to you. and as if by a miracle all things that you could have wished for are beginning to come into being. For all that you shall ever attain exists already as possibilities, and it is only waiting for you to claim it and make it your reality. In this new consciousness that you are moving into, you will, though still on this earth as a tangible, visible presence, through the assistance we alone are privileged to give, begin to live and work in your body light which you yourself have created and over which you are complete master. This will be the beginning of your entry into the kingdom of heaven. My dear friends, with your help, and if it is to succeed, I do need your help. We will go forth together as a great white brotherhood of God, of which all are a part, and make this kingdom a reality. This is the golden age in the birth of which you all have a mission, and it is helping you to purify and perfect yourselves for that mission, to move forwards as a master. The ladies as well, in which it is my honor and privilege to be of assistance to you. This is my great joy for this time, as many you are ready to move forth, is the time for which I have waited many centuries. In Europe, during the time leading up to the French Revolution, I worked for hundreds of years in tangible, visible form, though I assure you I could be quite visible if I wish, in the attempt to divert the destructive forces that were then in action and to attempt to bring forth the new age at this time, or at that time. However, as has most often been the case, selfless human forces working through those in power interfered, and as the expansion of the cosmic light had not reached the degree that it now has, there is nothing that I could do to intercede. I had to withdraw and allow the inertia of human creation to take its course, hence the French Revolution. I want you to know, my friends, and that now we shall succeed. The eternal decree has gone forth. Then it says, man shall be free. It is towards the realization that freedom that I am now placing in truth before you, that through your own humble efforts and with the least travail, 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 travail possible, you may attain the freedom. I want to be crystal clear that only in knowing the truth and in the practice of truth shall you be free. And the truth is, I am. For I am is the great key and password into the presence of God, your own God self. And the people always say, oh my God. And I like saying, oh, it's your God. And I'll say that sometimes. I'll say, oh my God, because this energy here and here is from God. And it makes you everything. And when you humble yourself to this one up here, magic happens. And that's why you don't need to know who your angels, guides, or protectors are, because there's so many around trying to help you. Hey, pronoia. Sometimes I can get it right, sometimes I can't. Not worried about it. Your own God self and your own individual expression of the full manifestation of God in action. So the I am, because you're acknowledging all your cells, your chakras, your energy, your auric field, your etheric field, your higher self, all kinds of things when you're recognizing the I am. There have, through the ages, been many races, many languages, each with its own expression of divinity. I do not wish to comment on the many expressions which sincere seekers may now be using. However, it is the Master's hope, and by masters I mean, of course, ascended masters, that all students of light come to understand and to use at all times the expression I am, not only in their meditations, but in every phase of their lives and activities, to bring them as surely and steadily as possible through our assistance and their own steadfast applications to that sure, certain dominion which is awaiting them. I cannot emphasize this enough. Dear ones, there is no other expression, phrase, word, practice, or exercise that will raise you into the ascended master consciousness, which is God consciousness, so certainly and swiftly as a consciousness use and understanding of I am. This is a single consciousness that is one without a second, the consciousness of the ascended master. This is the single consciousness that all sincere students must attain. Although there are many so-called paths now being taught in your beloved America, there is in the end no real path, dear ones, but the straight path, the I am path. I am is the door opener into the very heart of God. I am the presence, or I am presence. Only I am will open the way to our direct ascended master assistance. And that is imperative if you are to have our sustained raising activities required for ultimate step ascension, which is your eternal clearance from the earth and your entry into the next octave of existence, the divine. It is the same ascension which Jesus attained, which you, with our assistance, may also attain. Only through the raising activity of the I am, the resurrection of my form and world, is that ascension possible. When Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, it was to this way, that of the I am, to which he referred, due to the opposition of the forces and the subsequent distortions of the events surrounding his life and ministry, and every word he spoke have been subject to by proponents of the many dogmas which are still prevalent today. There has been very little that has come to light of these teachings that he gave only to a few who were ready regarding the I am and his own use of the I am decree and affirmation, with which his statement, only some of which are recorded in the biblical records, are filled. Their very vibration, however, is indelibly imprinted in the aura of the planet. So deep was his understanding. And this is why in the Bible there's really lots of magical hidden things if you read it for yourself. If you really want to know the truth. And I read 5 different Bibles. I read the Nag Hammadi. I read the Dead Sea Scrolls. I read the Keys of Enoch. I read really lots of things trying to understand. And when you find these truths, they're very, very big. Their very vibration, however, is indelible, imprinted in the aura of the planet. So deep his understandings for their meanings and use, and so fully was he charged with the energy which their continual application brings forth. The power which all who hear repeated today, the I am affirmation, he used can feel. So, I am the resurrection and the life. And that's what he said over and over and over. That was his mantra. So too will many of you become so charged and raised that you will do the same work as the Master Jesus, as he himself said, greater works than these shall you do. So he said you're going to do more than he did. He didn't say he was God and he was the only one. It was literally his words. The greater works than these shall you do. There are many that have done and are doing now these great works, though for the most part it is the nature of their work to remain silent and unknown. It is in precisely the same way as my brother Jesus, according to the same eternal law, by the same power of God, that I, Saint Germain, accomplished and am still accomplishing these works that you shall also do. Know that now he that uses the I am as the kingdom of heaven, the full full consciousness of God in action, and the ascended hosts of light, who are a full manifestation of that consciousness, always close at hand. So they're always there. When you say I am and you're doing prayers, chants, mantras, they're there. They don't care if you know their name or not. Why, it should be no more amazing than say, we are all one in the Father. That's all they want you to care about. It is only another much more direct way of saying the same thing. You see, my children, there is a tremendous difference between the understanding of oneness and the calling of oneness into action. This great difference is why I am and wish you to be so adamant, and you know what adamant is, like a diamond, concerning your acceptance and the use of the expression, the actual expression, I am. For it is only through the conscious expression from your own God self that the one consciousness can be called forth to act for and in you, and raise you into the full being of the ascended state. Only through the assistance of the ascended hosts of light, which your use of the expression I am permits us to give, and which assistance is the sustaining power behind all calls of fully sustained effects, does anyone ever reach the ascended state. Though your application may be very great, and we assume that if you are serious, it will be the only way those calls may be permanently sustained. So it says down here, it says, it is the consciousness of I am that the master refers, which should be said in one's native language. So it's really interesting. Hey there, Chris. Sustain is through the addition of our sustaining light substance and activity that none, not as ascended, no matter what they may claim, is capable of bringing into manifestation. For we are that light, and by that light alone shall you know us. I'm going to give you some instructions now on how to use this affirmation, which expressions of your own divinity will bring about that which you wish through the dominion of your own God self, directed by the faculty, which is the twin faculty, visualization and qualification. You cannot have one without the other. Where there is thought, there is feeling. Where there is feeling, there is thought. Visualize that which your affirmation calls for already taking place. Then at the same time qualify that thought by your feelings. In other words, modulate your feeling energies flowing forth from your heart, so that in the dual activity of the mind and heart you focus the energy of your own I am presence on the manifestations which you, by your words, spoken or silent, are calling into being. By the power of God and by the divine law by which the power operates, upon which you have focused your attention, shall come into being as surely as day follows night. For it is law, and nothing can change the law. So do not despair when you are making a call and you do not see the immediate result. The result is there, though you may not yet have sufficient inner vision to see it. For God works from inside out. That is, all manifestations take place on the inner plane of existence first. Then, as more conscious light substance is added, begins to manifest on the other, more dense plane. Though remember, all planes are God's planes. God is everywhere, and there is nowhere that God is not. It is by the very fact of God everywhere that what you conceive in your mind in one part of the universe can manifest in another part of the universe. For there is only one substance, one consciousness, and the one is the consciousness of your own God self, I am. When you use an affirmation, dear ones, keep in mind that it is the power of God alone that is the sure, certain fulfillment of your call, and consequently, there need be no rush or mental strain involved at all. As certainly as you say the words in the center of your being, the manifestation is going forth, and that for which you are calling is coming into being. Nay, it is already. The affirmation below are of inestimable benefit to all who seek the light, to those who aspire to mastery, and to my students I especially recommend them. And so in bold writings it says, I am the living light, I am the presence of God, I am. I am the open door which no man can shut. I am here, I am there, I am the only presence everywhere. That's a powerful mantra for a person to do. If you do it over and over and over, what would it teach and show you? Of all affirmations, however, the one that I recommend to you above all others, which will, if you use steadily with full understandings of its meaning, raise all human activity into the ascended master octave, is I am the resurrection and life. And it's in the Bible, but people can't figure that out over and over and over. It's printed, and yet people still don't understand. That is one powerful one. I am the resurrection of my life and health. I am the resurrection of my life and joy. I am the resurrection of my life and knowledge. Because you have knowledge from many lifetimes. You have all kinds of things. And whatever it is resurrecting all your organs, your cells, your aura, your chakras. Things that are dormant and hidden will come to life. And Jesus didn't say it for nothing. For this reason, it was one of the most used by the Master Jesus, and the one that made his raising of his own flesh form possible. If you remain calm and humble, yet determined in your dynamic application, you will, through the activity of your own feeling world, become of the raising activity of this so-called above all others, and begin to understand its full meaning. And it will teach you. These things, these lights, everything will teach you all kinds of stuff. And you can't use and abuse them. You can't try to think you're going to use them wrong and fool the universe enough. There are so many guardians in that watching, and if you're trying to do wrong with this, it's going to go really bad on you. And if you're not willing to deal with your past karma, what you did, or anything else, these things won't work with you unless you face and dig in your garbage dump and look at what you did to anybody and own up to that. This is where I got to look in my garbage dump all the time. And like I say, people have wronged me in many ways. I leave it for them to realize and correct. I'll carry on going forwards and teaching whether they like it or not. I spend years teaching people things and then they insult me and they mock me and everything. I don't care. I know what I'm teaching. I know what I do for each person. And I give knowledge. And it's you decide to respect it, because Master Saint Germain, all of them know what's going on. You don't fool anything. And you cannot project things out and seal people's energy and try to mess with their crown chakras and their auric field and put things in their heart and try to do all kinds of stupid things. You're just creating karma. And that goes back on you. Like I say, I have so many angels watching all the time. And they just shake their head at all the silliness of people. And I know and what people have done at sun dances and all kinds of ceremonies. Even in meditations, I know what people have done. But I leave that to the universe. And sometimes you need to apologize and find a way to undo what you've done wrong. Because if you don't, you got lots of lifetimes to pay for things. And some people are young souls. They think they're really ancient souls, but they're here to create nothing but karma and bad things. And they might have millions of years to correct some of their stupidity. And you shouldn't think you're a master. And you need to be obedient to these teachers. So if you're going to use this stuff, be really careful on what you're doing. Be really careful who you're harming and affecting. My life and my business was destroyed when I lived in Penticton. People thought it was really funny. And I worked really, really hard to build what I do. And I was very truthful about everything. Through the activities of your own feeling world, become aware of the raising activity of this call above all others and begin to understand its full meaning. A more profound meaning is not to be found. It was by the use of this consciousness that Jesus was able to accomplish what he did and what he has done, so you can do it. And it may, and I dare say, it will be easier for you, for the cosmic light has reached a greater expansion today than it had in his time. Greater assistance from the Ascended Master Octave may be given, and it is being given, and will continue to be given until all America and the earth itself is raised into the sphere of light, an attainment where all God's children are one, once again, with their own God self, and it is one world without end, and so be it, so shall it be. So, dear ones, if you will use the I am, you will open wide the floodgates from the Ascended Master Octave for us to flood you with an assistance. Fill your world with the light you have had not dreamed possible. As you join our ranks, you will further see our great wisdom in releasing the teachings of the use of this expression through it at this time. For it is through the continued use of the obedience to the law and to the use and application these affirmations which are a part of that law and daily application made by each individual in the individual's own words that the greatest light and the greatest freedom that the world has ever known will be made possible. Mark my words. My granddad used to always say, mark my words, every time he ended something. And it was really amazing because every time he would tell me that and he would say, mark my word, it would always come true. This light cannot, never has, and never will fail. For the light of God never fails. The light of God never fails. The light of God never fails. And the presence of God, I am, is that light. I thank you. And in the future, I think I will use mark my words. Because I have told people so many things, and they never wanted to believe me. So, discourse by Godfrey Ray King. Dear hearts, and you are my dear hearts, would you let me share with you some thoughts regarding my experience here on your beautiful earth? Perhaps if we just have a heart-to-heart talk, we shall have an understanding between us, which would, I assure you, give me great pleasure. Then don't you see the assistance that I can give you will be of much greater, since it was not so very long ago that I cleared from the earth. I decided that as many of you are today faced with the same thing that I was faced with, I would come to you now in this way, and that by sharing some of my thoughts concerning what I had to undergo, I might be of assistance to you and help you clear your worlds of every last vestige of your human created limitation, so that you may walk forwards absolutely freer in the knowledge of your sure, certain victory, and that victory for all hearts that will give obedience to the great law of the I am, is a certainty as sure as I am speaking to you here now from the Ascended Master Octave of Light. Chance, dear ones, has nothing to do whatsoever with your success as Ascended Master Path. For whosoever you may be, and whosoever you are in life, is a direct result of your own efforts and activity of your own life stream at one time or another. Though I know many of you certainly wonder during many of many an experience why you are going through some of the trying things you are faced with. Many a surprising things there may be that rears its head as you deal with that you have never expected to encounter in a million years. If that all, but take the courage, dear heart. I say to you, all experience that sincere student of law is faced with is not by chance, but is a definite part of his growth and evolution, a definite part of the plan of his life stream, and must be faced and squarely dealt with. That's why I have to be obedient. When people show up, I have to help them until the universe says, time to move on. Chance, dear ones, has nothing to do whatsoever with the success of the ascended master path. For whosoever may be and whosoever you are in life is a direct result of your own effort and the activity of your own life stream at one time or another. Though I know many who certainly wonder during many an experience why you are going through some of the trying things you are faced with. Many a surprising things there may be that rear its ugly head for you to deal with that you have never expected to encounter in a million years, if at all. But take courage, dear hearts, as I say to you, all experiences that the sincere student of the law is faced with is not by chance, but is by definite part of his growth and evolution, a divine part of the plan of his life stream, and must be faced and squarely dealt with. I say this with all certainty of my being as I am here before you now. You must face your experience. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Just get with it. And if you, and, sorry, get with it, as you like to say, you must learn to be in the world. You can no longer or no more escape difficult experiences and still continue to grow than you could expect to breathe were you to live in a vacuum. Why, experience is the very grist of the mill in which you are nourished and grow as mastery. And without experience, you could not become masters. Without the world, how could you overcome the world? Without experience, how could become a master over your experience? And so the lessons that you must all learn is be in the world, but not of the world. And this is where people want to be gurus and all kinds of things. They want to, be movie stars. They want to be billionaires and all kinds of stuff. I'm like, that's not spiritual. You must learn to get your guidance and directions right here in the thick of it and not feel any self pity when the going gets rough. That's why I don't feel self pity for myself. I don't like when people say, oh, poor you. No, I'm nothing. I never was poor. Not from the day I was born, not billions of years into the future will I ever be poor. Self pity when the going gets rough. You must learn to face your experience and stand right up and say, and this is in bold letters, I see here I am the presence of God here, and by the power of light that I am, I command the perfect thing to come about instantaneously. Then allow it to do so, and it will. Just stand your ground perfectly calm and serene, and wait patiently to see what that perfect thing is. Won't you be surprised when you see God in action? How perfectly your God self will handle it every time, and handle it. It will. Why? It must. Don't you see? For it is the law. And this is where there's laws of the universe. I say it all the time. It is the law and has no choice but to handle it. Then you will see why it is necessary for you to have that experience. You will see what it has shown you, either by yourself or someone else, or some work in the law that you need elucidated. For if you are to become wise, experience, you must have the wisdom you must have, and wisdom is the state in which you must attain if you would become a master, be of service to others. I wish you, my students, to know all others, not just you who are consciously so. but all others who are on the path. As evolving masters, it is true your duty to be ready and able to help anyone, anywhere, anytime, no matter how humble his position in life may seem, or how far from things of the spirit he may seem. For dear ones, all are seeking, whether they talk about it or not. And you never, I repeat, you never know the spiritual evolution of another of God's children. With regard to the growth of the life stream of all terms, such as high and low, are relative. For with regard to evolution, there is no end. Everything is evolving. Even in the ascended state, we are growing and evolving, though we have transcended entirely all human limitations and are wholly God beings in every way. For life is growth, and all that is alive is growing in one way or another. Should something cease to grow, it passes out of existence. One must never look down on another of God's creatures, for no matter how advanced one may be, there are always those more advanced on whose assistance and love one's own further growth is dependent. So you see, my dear, that to have faith in us are more advanced and to have already transcended the human octave, to have faith in your own God self with which we are one, and to seek to help others who are also a part of that one, is truly equality of the light by which all men are created equal. It is the sure, certain path of harmony with all creation. In my own experience, dear hearts, I had to face every imaginable situation, and I want to tell you, sometimes I thought that I could not go on. So great was the force that seemed to be against me. It was all that I could do to extricate myself. But never did I despair, although I was close to it, and many times, for I knew that if I did not master a certain force, I would be faced with experiences over and over again where the same force would come into action until my determination to overcome was so great that my dynamic application of the law became a conquering presence. Never did again that force have any power over me because, don't you see, I was then the master over it, and we all have to become masters. It's important. Why, dear ones, on some occasions people even come and sit right in my face. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get you. And I would call immediately to God, my own I am God presence, and say, no, that you will not. And they would say, who is to stop me? I would reply with the full conviction, I am God within you will stop you. All the time that the individual was before me, I would be silently blessing that one and calling to his own God presence within him to take command there, for I always knew and held in my consciousness at that time that one part of God cannot and never did harm any other part of God. Despite the human sense of consciousness that tries to convince one the contrary, my inner faith in this would be so firm that as a result of this consciousness of God in action, I am, the action of light within us both would be so intensified, we would be so raised, and not only would I be invincibly protected, but the other individual would beg for forgiveness and be changed person from that time on. You can, each of you, do the same thing, and I tell you that you can. Once before a large audience, an individual aimed a revolver at me. Though fully loaded, it refused to fire when the trigger was pulled. My life appeared to be in grave physical danger, though I knew it was not, for through my intense previous applications and through electronic field I had generated through the application, I was invincibly protected. Though I made dynamic applications at that moment, nonetheless, dear ones, you can be sure. You see, through sincerely, daily, nay, continuous efforts and applications of these great laws, I had brought into the world that calm, certain faith, which I always sustain, that certain knowledge of the reality of God in me, and so ever was and ever shall be. You can be sure that now, invincible, protected, and victorious in the light. So will it be with you if you make continuous application. For as you learn to make your meditation a prayer without ceasing, you become a divine storehouse of energy so charged as to act or assume any form instantly at the bidding and under the directions of your own God self. There are some who are now children who, as their parents raise them in the full knowledge of the use of this law, will be able to exercise their natural God consciousness in the precipitation of whatsoever they may desire. And lots of children are going to be doing this. They're going to do all kinds of magical things. And in these cases, I dare say parents will learn from their children. That's why you got to be teachers of your children. They will become your teachers. You have to learn from your children. That is one thing about the great law. Even a child can understand it. That is the identifying trademark of all our teachings, simplicity. And I tried to simplify all kinds of knowledge to people, and they wouldn't even get it. They just mock me. Oh, you talk in all kinds of strange ways. I'm like, no, I just gave you a really simple answer. Why, dear ones, I have seen children of 4 or 5 years old of age use a simple affirmation and achieve results that leave their parents amazed. And then you can bet that the parents get busy and make their applications too. That could be more beautiful than the pure manifestation of the living Christ in all the childlike simplicities and grace. It is this childlike faith that you must have. First, you use it on small things, and when you discover that it works, then you use it on larger things. And in this way, you build faith. The faith casts out all imperfections. You know, dear ones, what mankind needs more than any single thing is faith. Yes, of course, love is needed, but faith is a form of love. That form of love which casts out fear and doubt, the absolute knowledge of the presence of God within. Believe me, fear and doubt are the two greatest drains on every individual today. Actually, fear is doubt manifesting in a slightly different way. The different manifestations of the doubt are more numerous than I can name: anger, self pity, self justification, greed, apathy are only a few. Many times, often in fact, people do not realize that these forces act in them, for they are often dormant until a certain situation comes along and the force is awakened or comes into action, even in students very far along the path. Then that one will very often justify his actions or feelings so cleverly that he is later not even aware of what it was that acting in him. And this can be very dangerous, especially in one who is in a position of influence over the lives of others. Honesty is the first and foremost requirement expected of any student of law. And honesty with oneself comes above all else. If you will not examine yourself and look closely at your own world and what is acting in it, and then go to work and clean house, this is the continual process. How do you expect to become a master? I hope that you do not expect us to do it for you. And that's where people believe that. And I say, stop, don't do that anymore. Start doing the work. And these laws, karmic laws and everything, they're real. Don't play with them. Don't pretend they don't exist. I've tried to teach people this for years. As you do clean house, and by that I mean you ask your presence to remove from your mind, body, and world anything that is less than perfect, you will be amazed. If you sincerely ask your presence to show you the many deplorable ways in which the doubt has been acting in you to prevent you from operating at your full God potential, then if you will go to work on what you see, your divine presence will draw so near that its assistance and sustaining power will be ever ending joy and blessings to you, and all that contacts your world, people will say, "What is it about you that is different?" And that's what people try to figure out when they come around me. And it's really, really important to understand that when I'm around, people try to figure me out. They can't. They get more and more confused with time, and then they think I'm a liar and deceiver. Never lied to them. They distort everything. They have lots of thought forms and that, and they try to create me in their bullshit delusions. They try to hold me in what they want to think I am. And like I say, whatever they're thinking, sometimes the universe will make me that for them. Then, if you will go to the works on what you see, your divine presence will draw so near that its assistance and sustaining power will be a never ending joy and blessings to you and all that contact your world. People will say, "What is it about you that is different? You seem to have changed." You'll find that people will be drawn to you without their knowing why. You will become a great blessing to others. Wherever you move, you for then and only then will be able to use we will be able to use you in more than human work, which we are about. Whatever you have overcome, will you be able to help others overcome? And that's where whatever you heal, you will teach to others. Whatever you learn, you will teach to others. What joy will be yours as you are able to render others to the great service. Truly, it is more blessed to give than to receive. And I gave, man, I gave until I bled and just about died. I just about went insane and crazy in Penticton. As a service in which we are all able to use, you expand as you become the greater and greater Son, the love and the assistance of the legions of light. Through your own outpourings of other will raise and bless you far more than your ability to bless. Far from your energy beings depleted, you will find that your energy or vitality is growing and growing all the time. You will find that you are become the great battery of energy of loving service. The limitless light of God will pour forth from you at all times, and once again shall you be the Son of God. I want to tell you that many times you will find yourself in situations where you are face to face with another individual and you seem to have nothing in common, and you do not know the reasons for your being there. Well, you must just make the call for your presence, that you be shown immediately what the reason is that you are there. And that's what I do, and I see and know everything. I tell people that. And so the reason is that you are there and what you are to do. I suggest that you say something to this effect. I am the presence of God in the situation. Do what I am meant to do. Say what I am meant to say in perfect divine order. Then go ahead and continue to talk or do whatever feels like the natural thing to keep the ball rolling, and you will then, as you go along, begin to get the right feelings on what is to transpire, what you are to say, or perhaps what it is that the individual has to say that may be of importance and assistance to you. Just be natural. You must give no indications that you are doing anything out of the order, out of the ordinary, no matter how dynamic your inner call may be. And this is where people get confused with me. They think sometimes I'm not aware of anything, yet I'm aware of so many things, and I act like I don't know anything. Be patient. Oh, be patient. Be patient. I wish I could emphasize that. Just stay relaxed and know that the presence of God is at work to bring about the perfect divine plan for that situation. Many times you will not know or not even have the slightest inkling what the plan is, but you just go ahead in the most natural way from one moment to the next as you feel your inner guidance coming forth. You will be surprised at how easy and how natural a thing it is to get your divine guidance at every moment, no matter where you are. And that's why you don't have to meditate or anything. People sit for hours and hours and hours meditating and chanting. I'm like, you don't have to do that. I say it all the time. I'm sitting right here and I'm getting all kinds of information, even though I'm reading this book and that, and I'm aware of all kinds of things going on. I'm not meditating. But people want to do that. And they think it's really, really cool. I'm like, why are you doing all of that? It really doesn't make sense a lot of times. You will be surprised at how easy and how natural a thing it is to get your divine guidance at every moment, no matter where you are. And many times people to whom you are talking will say, why? That is just what I needed to hear. How did you know? And people tell me that all the time. People ask me, you ever get tired of knowing? I'm like, no. And you will say, oh, I just had the feeling that you might be interested in to know that, or some other natural thing to give not the slightest indication of the inner work that you are doing. For the first law and motto of the Great White Brother, it is to know, to dare, to do, and to be silent. And that's where sometimes people ask me things and I don't answer. I just look at them. I don't say anything. And silent you must be. Furthermore, do not get to think that because you know the law that you are superior to anyone. For many times the reasons that you will have been brought into contact with another individual, no matter how humble in appearance or ignorant of things spiritual they may seem, will be because that one has something that we wish you to hear, or will tell you that one thing which at the moment you may be in need of more than anything else. And many are the times that we pass among you, and you know us not. Many are the ones that have met and talked to the ascended masters, working in tangible, visible form, unawares, and believe me, dear ones, in such cases it has always been our way to take the appearance of one humble and ordinary in appearance and manner. This is where I show up in lots of people's lives and they ask. I show up and then they dishonor everything. Expect to meet us, and if you treat all that you meet as masters, perhaps you shall, as the service to be rendered allows. Remember, the light of God is within everyone. We are among you always, whether in tangible form or not, as you seek to aid one another, your fellow brothers and sisters. You open the doorway for us into the lives and worlds. I tell you, my dear friends, we will be most happy to be able to enter in at that doorway. And I say to you now, we shall enter in. And what a time we shall have then, shall we not, when we can talk heart to heart? What is preventing that time from being now? Dear hearts, let us talk for a moment about the condition that I know is troubling many of you, and that is the appalling relationships that some of you have with your dear parents, the dear souls that volunteered to bring you into this world, which, believe me, knowing some of you as I do, was the brave thing to do. Misguided though some of them may be, they have tried so hard to raise you and teach you to the best extent they are able, as they believe to be proper, against whom you have struggled to the point that you no longer have that beautiful harmonious relationship of parent and child, which is the divine plan, and which our Creator intended. It is something that must, and I say simply must, be rectified if you are to advance. For it is not by chance that you are with these parents. You, dear ones, chose these parents, and they chose you. And although you may have had to go through seemingly unendurable hardships on each other's accounts, I say to you, one day you shall see the wisdom, this association with each other. You will see what it is that has drawn you together in this embodiment, and you will, through the realization, learn to love those dear ones as the flames of God they are, evolving as you are, each in its own right. But until such a time as you do realize the true reason for your being in each situation that you find yourself, I humbly suggest that you learn to be as kind as you can and try to get along even though you may feel ignored as an individual person in your own right, or greatly wronged or misunderstood. For to learn to manifest harmony always and under the most adverse conditions is one of the greatest lessons and tests that you will ever have to undergo. What better place to undergo it than in your own home? You must never allow yourself to feel holier than thou, for you know that you are not. And this is where we're all equal. Nobody's higher or lower in anything. Whatever I am, people can become. Whatever Jesus, people can become. Whatever Buddha. But you have to honor all these things and teachers and everything. It all goes together. Though you may have advanced very far along the path, I say to you, you could not have done so without your parents, and there is much that you have still to learn from them. It was their love that brought you into being, and no matter how much that love seems to have waned, it is still there if you will take the time and call the law of forgiveness and the fire of forgiveness into action and consume all human discord, all humanity created resentment, doubt, fear, all wrongly qualified energies of the past that has been causing you to see only the outside of each other rather than the true Christ self, the one. And when you see the one, with a glorious day it shall be, how happy you shall be, how happy we all shall be, for in the very one is your true home, your, your sure, certain victory over all human binding conditions forever, the doorway into unlimited consciousness of the ascended state. I want you to know that there are many of us in this state now who on the earth were parents and children of each other, and who now are working together in the greatest love and harmony with each other as pure free beings in the great white brotherhood of universal divine love. How you, dear ones, would benefit if you would only let go. Let go and just be at peace with one another. Just let each other be. And that's where I just allow my family to be. I don't tell them what to do or how to do or why to do. When I go see my cousins Skid Row or anywhere, I don't tell them what to do. I'll let them live out their lives and do whatever. They can think whatever they feel. But I'll carry on living my life. My life is important to me. And I want to be in the future. And I'll do all the work to get there. And like I say, they need to own their own stuff. How you dear ones would benefit if you would only let go and just be at peace with one another. Just let each other be with the space each needs to explore and operate freely. That's why I live far from my family. I don't live in my community, fighting with my relatives every day, trying to make them do things, trying to be better than them and force them to do stuff. No, they can do whatever they want. If they really want my help, somewhere I'll help them. With the space each other needs to explore and operate freely, each in his own world, without the judgment and condemnation of the other. That condemnation, no matter how subtle you may think it, or how silent, is the most grievous deprivation of freedom that one individual can ever impose upon another. I hope, sincerely hope, that none of you will ever again be guilty of this, and that you will stand guard over your thoughts and feelings and the words you speak to others to this effect. And I hope that you value your freedom. You will call the consuming fire of forgiveness, and you can call that. Call in the consuming fire of forgiveness for everybody. even for your own self. The violet flame in full and sustained action, should you ever catch yourself or others doing this, how much more freedom and peace will you have then? Try it, you shall see. And so gradually you shall see that only you can escape from the effects of judgment, judging others direct direct at you. Okay, I'll do that again. Got things scrambled up here. And so gradually you shall see that only can you escape the effects of the judgments of others direct at you by removing, dissolving, consuming forever, and all tendencies within yourself towards judgments of others, no matter how small a tendency may be, for that is the open door. What you yourself seek can be attained only if you are willing to grant the same to others. That's why I choose to let everybody be. It's their choice. I'm going to keep trying to create. I'm going to keep trying to build what I'm here on this earth to do. I wanted a lot of people to be a part of that, but a lot of people will never be a part of my future. And I choose that. I don't need to be treated like shit and laughed at. If you want love, you must give love. If you want peace, you must give peace. If you want freedom, you must give freedom. Acknowledge others' rights to the same thing you wish for yourself. Free will is a divine gift. It is only man that has curtailed that freedom through his efforts to impose his own will on others. Do not feel responsible for what another does with his free will. Rather, first take the responsibility for yourself. The disciplining and conscious, harmonious direction of your own thoughts and feelings are the greatest use you can make of your own free will. For only in that conscious direction and mastery is a true freedom that you desire. There is much that you will have to learn in that respect, and this is where a lot of people need to respect Cindy. A lot of people got to own up and apologize and do right by her. And although you may not like to hear about this thing that you still have to work on, hear about them you shall. For you would not want me to leave you in the dark, that I am sure. Aren't you glad to have a friend who is honest with you? That I am your friend. You should know that by now. We, from our octave, find it regrettable that so often an individual say that he wants to purify himself and to serve the light, and then when we show him how to go about that, he quails in fear, as though we would show anyone something that he could not do, and as though we are not there and ready to take that one by the hand and give him every needed assistance. Oh, dear ones, why won't you follow through on these things? When you ask us for something, know that the perfect instance solution is there, but you must have faith in us, at least in a fraction, and the patience to let us help you in that perfect way, which is very often not the way that you think we should. For the human with the limited five senses, material view of things, just love to rush ahead on his own and make a mess of things, when it doesn't have the consciousness of what is truly to take place. Believe me, the perfection, the beauty, the true joy that will fill your lives, each and every one of you, if you would only turn to your own ever-present God self, I am presence, and the great white brotherhood, who are one with the presence, for every single thing from the littlest to the most important. How great a change would your lives undergo? How every little thing that you need would seem to offer itself to you before you even need to ask. For your own God self knows your needs before you know them yourself. It is an all-consuming faith in the I am presence that all of you, and I say all of you, more than any other single thing require. For if you do not have faith, what have you? Remember, in bold letters it says, in the name of the love, the wisdom, and the power of the presence that I am the full consciousness forever, and the light of God that never fails. Discourse 13, Serapis Bey. And then after that is the great divine director and then I'll do the little thing, and I think we'll be finished with this. So hopefully you're all doing good. Like I say, I got a really big mouth and I say real lots. El Serapis Bey. By the power of light I come to you. By the power of love I enter your heart. By the wisdom of I am I enter your mind and bring you truth. And that truth shall set you free. Good day, my children. I speak to you as one who has known you for many ages, as one who cares for you very much and will continue to care for you and teach you as long as you shall wish me to do so. Until that time, which for some it is not far hence, when we shall work together as brothers and sisters in the higher octave in the greater expansion of the light. Light is my home, my province. Won't you come in? In the light that is within you is the all-seeing eye, the all-hearing ear, the all-knowing mind of God, the almighty I am. That's why I say let God see through you, hear through you, speak through you. And as representative of the light I am at your service, I am at your call. For wherever the light is, I am there. And the I am, that I am, is a sort of source of all things, even the God flame. For your being, so I think that you had best understand me. Had you not, it is to render the service that I have come to you today. You see, as your consciousness is you, if you are not very conscious, then there is not much of you, is there? In whatever way that conscious is affected, so are you affected. Therefore, you must always have your attention on God, the I am presence within you, so that you will always and only be affected by God rather than the human, which is the case when you let human material affairs attract your interest, and your attention wanders, which must never be. A master's mind never wanders. How could it, when it has found the source of its being, the ecstasy of its own God self? Why should it look for any other material conditionings or anything? It contains everything already within itself, and over which it is the ruling presence. My consciousness and God are one, and nothing save your own human self has ever been able to create that illusion that is any other. What a predicament man has now got himself into, don't you think? Believing in an illusion of his own brain creation instead of accepting what is, what shall be, and what always has been, the unchangeable reality of light for all time. Only in accepting the light, in opening one's mind to that light, will man truly consciousness of who he is return. It is to help you remember that to attain the consciousness that I am with you. So please open your mind to the light. Let the light fill your mind and expand until you know I am that light. And the only true expression of man's divinity is expression I am. I can never be anything but I am, for consciousness is light. And when light is conscious of itself, what else could it be? I am that light. The conscious expression and the use of light is mastery. If you would attain mastery, use the expression I am. I am the presence of God doing this. I am the presence of God in all things. I am the consciousness of God by which I am understanding this. I am the master presence made manifest in perfect divine order. Use this expression of your own divine God self in whatever you do, and surely you shall become master. Whatever you would know, whatever you would understand, know that. I am the presence by which I understand, for all is consciousness, and is therefore within me, and revealed to me the perfect divine order by illumining, revealing power that I am, God in action. Then be patient, go about your business and tend your affairs, stay balanced in a state of perfect ease and confidence. And when you least expect it, the illumination that you have called into action will come forth in the most perfect way. The mind of God must be the servant before God's throne, and the heart in the center of the being is open the door to that throne. Humility is the only thing that will ever qualify anyone to rule, and he who rule must serve. God is humble. The very, the very least one in the kingdom of God is the greatest, and he that is the greatest server, the one that is least. And that's what Jesus said. And he would bow down and wash people's feet. He would serve people. And that's what in natives is muskapios. He served God and man. This is the cardinal rule of the spiritual attainment. He who would attain most, he must serve most. So you see, we in the ascendant states are far busier than you can imagine. There is not a poor person anywhere whom we are not, by the law of our being, bound to assist whenever they call. The call that mankind is making now, if we could hear it, would break your heart. Love each other more, dear hearts. You will help ease our burden. Do not think we suffer, for from it we are very joyous individuals. We are very busy, and we need your assistance as you need ours. Your calls and affirmations help us to expand the light by the authority of your cells or your calls further into human octave than we ourselves could. So we really need each other, you see, and what you want to know that we are grateful to you. Even though you may not see me, I am helping you, for I am a very etheric fellow, and unless your eyesight is very sharp, you would not see me, but nonetheless I am here. I am with you always, and in always, as you move up the conscious path towards the open door of your sure, certain victory. Thank you. So then it's the great divine director, and then I'll do this affirmation at the end. So thanks for staying with me. Thanks for listening. And hey there, Jackie. Just finishing up this little book, I Am the Door Opener, and it's the Ascended Master Discourse. So the last discourse is the Great Divine Director. All that you are is determined by your mind and the way it directs the light pouring at every moment from your great God self to you, your God self, and you are responsible for the light that creation can start over. All that you are is determined by your mind and the way it directs the light pouring at every moment from your great God self, and you're responsible for that light, that creation. As a creator, you were created with the very light and consciousness of God within you. And as a creator, you must bear your responsibility. It is to better help you bear that responsibility that I have come to you. You see, my name is indicated to you who and what I am, a director. Just as the mind of each of you is a director, only I am a great divine director, just as the higher mind, the higher mental body of each of you is the great divine director. I am an actual being, a being who has been on earth in mortal physical form, just like yourself. Only I have raised my form, and through the knowledge, wisdom, and dominion that I have attained, and through the manifestation of my activity, I am able to help you achieve that same dominion. God consciousness, that is your heritage, your longing, and your true nature for the great divine director of you in the mind of God in action. Your ability to tune into and become that mind is your eternal freedom and victory. The human mind, to the contrary, is nothing more than accumulated energy, qualified and stored in the world of the individual, which registers and acts through the physical cells of the human brain in the manner in which the human created patterns have been established. So you see, there is nothing original, unique, or truly creative about the mind itself. All that it has is borrowed energy, which has been lent to it. That's why I say you borrow everything. When you leave this planet, you give it back, and the universe knows what you've done wrong. It's not hidden, there's no secrets. So, borrowed energy, which is lent, which it must give account of, and which it must eventually return to God, the source that I am. You see what a dreary thing the human mind is of itself, a computer that has been programmed, nothing more than that. Through the five senses, it has stored, sorted, rearranged, and not even that very well, has it? Yet it is that very accumulation, that very mind with all its arrogance and pride, which keeps you from finding your own real self, divine mind, the I am that I am. It is only by divine mind, that actual living God presence that dwells within and above every individual, and that's where it's up here. And you have to connect with it, but it's also inside your heart. As beings, as tangible to us in the octave as you are to each other in your octave, that anything new, creative, or anything of light ever comes to the earth, into the minds, hearts, and the world of individuals everywhere, it is that being that is the great divine director of you. It is to that presence which the human mind must at last turn for relief. And then it says, Father, thy will, not mine, be done. And that's where you got to connect with God, be obedient with these beings, and work, do what they're asking. Like, go where? Even if it is a place you don't like, oh, it's cold. Go there. There's a reason for it. Whatever it is, you're supposed to be somewhere doing something. When the individual reaches that point, usually only after much human suffering, then the blessed individual is on his way to freedom. For he has turned to God, and with God all things are possible and certain. One individual has turned to God is more powerful than any army has not. Okay, let's do that one again. One individual has turned to God is more powerful than an army that has not. And that is the truth. You see, dear ones, how imperative is to turn your I am presence in all things. For what does your human mind know of what is, and what God means for you to do? Nothing. In fact, it will, out of most sincere desires, to do what seems it the right thing, quite often set you on the wrong track. And this is where everybody goes wrong all the time. Only your divine mind, your very present, ever watchful Father, the I am presence who knows all things, can show you what is the right thing and set you going in the right direction and supply you with energy, guidance, and wisdom to attain what that right thing is in perfect divine order. Oh, how we have waited for you, dear students, while you have struggled with the mind. How sometimes you will be so close you will feel the divine light beginning to pour itself through your mind and heart. Then the human mind jumps up like a jealous little dog to claim the owner that has been ignoring it, and try to claim the light for its own. But it is not its own. And this is where people take the light. People want me to do clearings. All this energy comes in, and then they use it in all kinds of wrong ways. And the universe brings it in, all kinds of spirits and that, to try to help you to go into the future. And then they go right back and do the same thing, and they want to repeat this. And they find all kinds of people to heal and do stuff. I'm like, why? You must learn to relax. You must learn to let that delicate, ever-present light from within and every center of your being come out and have full sway until it slowly fills your whole being. Mind the world with its pure love, wisdom, and radiance divine. Human mind is a pure teacher of the mind. Human mind is a poor teacher of the mind. It pretends to disciple itself only to assert its hold in yet another way. And that's where people think they're powerful. Anyone that tells you they're powerful, know that they're in the mind and they're not connected to the universe. It pretends to disciple itself only to reassert its hold in yet another way. I beg you, dear ones, leave the mind alone. Let it alone, and it will let you alone. Do not try to analyze the great light from above, nor the law governing its use, for that would only keep this light from acting, which light I know you want more than anything else. And that's why I say this energy that comes from the universe, I want it more than anything on this planet. You can't get it from drugs, booze, sex. You can't get it from anything. And you have to do right by it or it'll just go away. It'll wait millions of years till you decide to do it right. And you got to own up to whatever it is and you got to correct that. And I tell people that. I came here and I discovered that energy in many ceremonies and places. And that is the most powerful thing. And you can't use it wrong. You don't have control over it. You don't order it around. For how many centuries have you waited for the great light, yet turned away to live in the world of your own creation? How long do you choose to remain in that world? Only you can answer that, dear ones. But I know that as you are sincere, you will turn your attention within to your hearts, and there find the great light from the presence, that great love, that great wisdom, that great power, that is the presence of God eternal within you. May the love, wisdom, and power of the presence that I am, the great host of ascended masters, raise you into the full consciousness of the crystal chalice and the eternal victory of your own I am presence forever. I thank you.